Some shows talk about one team. Other shows barely talk sports. This show will talk Packers, Brewers, and Bucks. Every day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily with Steve Sparky Pfeiffer on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
Welcome in. It is a brand new day. Yes, it is. It is Wednesday, June 17th. Good morning, good afternoon, and good night, everybody. It was fun. No, I'm joking.
Not yet.
Yeah. Not yet. No, we're just starting. Lots to get to on today's show. Greg Smith, national recruiting analyst for On3 Sports and Rivals, comes up here at 3:20. We'll talk to him. He wrote a big piece on the Badgers football recruiting today, so we'll get his thoughts on that at 3:20, and the rest of the show lines up like it normally does. We are going to talk some Bucks basketball throughout. We got a couple of Packers topics as well to dive into. Let's talk about the Crew coming up at 3 o'clock. So lots to get into. Now, I would like to start off talking about your Milwaukee Bucks, because there is a piece of audio from Run It Back with Boogie Cousins, and I don't know if we have that or not. I don't think. Do we have that? I don't know if we do have that.
I don't think so.
From Boogie Cousins. And Boogie Cousins said on Run It Back about the Bucks, quote, Giannis is more control of this situation than the organization. Milwaukee bit itself in the butt. It's time to make this happen ASAP. According to Boogie Cousins, who obviously was here, played for the Bucks, part of the organization, did all of that, right? He was here. He was part of it.
He was here for like a couple weeks.
They should have played him more than they played him.
I wouldn't say he was really truly a part of
that.
it.
That whole time frame there. I was an advocate of playing him more than they were playing him. Now, again, I don't know off the court what he was like there and all that other stuff, but I was always a big Boogie Cousins basketball player fan. I thought he was one of the most talented centers in the game, especially early in his career. Guy could pass, throw it down, shoot outside. Like, he could do everything. But anyways, besides the point. So I'm going to ask you this. Nice and simple. Do you think Bucks ownership and John Horst, because he is the general manager, have handled this Giannis situation well over the past 2 seasons? And if not, how would you have handled it differently? John Horst's been under fire. He's under fire like seemingly every day. Every day. You say Bucks. John Horst is horrible. He doesn't know how to draft. John Horst screwed this whole thing up. So I'm curious. So if you're like, they screwed this whole thing up, you agree with Boogie Cousins that they screwed this whole thing up, and now Giannis is kind of running the show. And you see reports out of Boston. Again, nobody knows what is accurate and what is not accurate. I'm going to put that out there first, that Celtics are uncomfortable that Giannis and his agents are kind of running the show on this whole thing. Now, again, don't know if it's true or not. Do I believe that's possibly the case? Absolutely, I believe that's possibly the case. No question. But there's also the report out there that he's willing to sign an extension in Boston. He's willing to sign an extension in Miami as well. Those are the 2 places. Then you've got another report out there from Mark Spears saying, hey, Jaylen Brown does not want to play in Milwaukee. So y'all trade for Jaylen Brown. He don't want to be there. Right? Fine. But did it have to get to this point where we are right now? Did we have to be here in this situation? If the Bucks handle it differently, could they have avoided this mess to begin with? To where now Giannis is fully, pretty much seems like, in control of kind of what happens next to a certain degree. To where we've had drama for the last couple of years in the national media about Giannis. Then he has stayed, right? The last 2 years, he hasn't gone anywhere. And now you're going into the last year of his deal, and this is all the drama we expected. When the season ended, we said, oh boy, here we go again. We're going to go right on through the summer with this. And this is exactly where we're at. Do you agree with Boogie Cousins that they screwed this whole thing up? and how they handled it, and now Giannis pretty much has control of it. Now they just have got to get rid of him to get rid of him. Or do you think they've actually done this as well as anybody could have done this, considering everything in play right now? Nikolay Law, talking text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250. On the social, streaming live at WI Sports Radio on X, Instagram Live, YouTube. Like, subscribe, baby. We're closing in on the number that Tommy Wirtz is so desperately wants to get for subscribers. So every subscriber we get will make Tommy happier and happier by the day. So that would be good. And we're streaming live on the Fan Milwaukee Facebook page. You can check us out there as well. Dugout YouTube chat going on over there if you'd like to participate, talk to each other in the chat. We read chat messages throughout the show as well. And of course, the phone calls. Those are my preferable choices. If it were up to me, we'd have only calls. We wouldn't have tweets and social media. We wouldn't have text lines. None of that. You want to talk to us? Call. Pick up the phone. Let's do this. But I'm old. That's not the era we live in, and I've accepted that. So I'll read
carrier pigeons too.
See? The stuff I put up with, man. Jeez, oh man. All right, let's get to the phones because we actually do have people that want to talk on the telephone. Nikolay Law, talking text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250. John in Hartford, you're first up on Wisconsin Sports Daily with me, Steve Sparky Pfeiffer. What's going on, John?
Hey, Spark, what's going on, man?
Try to figure out this Giannis thing. What do you think?
I've said for over a year, they should have traded him last year. This is like before the season ever started. This is like the Packers with Aaron Rodgers and how much less they're going to get, they got than what they would have got the year before. And you knew Giannis wasn't going to play the whole year. His value is degraded because he's even more known to not stay healthy. And now instead of 2 years of a team's control, they've got 1 year. And you kind of put that whole extension thing on the table where somebody's not going to trade for him if he's not going to sign the extension. So, yeah, they screwed this up royally.
So if the way to handle it better would have been to trade him sooner?
I would have traded him before last year even started.
Yep. All right. Very good. Thanks for the call, John. If we rewind back, Charlie, who's been here a couple of years now, has been with me since we started this show. If we go back to last year, prior to what they decided to do in the offseason, I was begging and pleading to go to Giannis and be like, look, we're going to stink. Like, we're stuck on this Lillard deal. We don't have any way to really do anything. So we're going to stink. And we would like to be in a position to be bad, have our pick be really bad. We're assuming the Pelicans will be bad probably, and get a better draft pick out of this at the end of the day. And eventually be clear to the Bobby money, be clear to the Kuzma money, and so forth. And then get Lillard back, have a good pick to put with you and Lillard, and move forward. And essentially just take one in the chops for a year, even though it's not competing for a championship. But long term, as we clear more of this money out, we'll be able to have a lot of money going into the 27-28 season. You know, after the 26-27 season that summer, we'll have some money to be able to go out and spend and be able to bring another star player in with you and so forth and go from there. That's what I wanted them to do. Now, clearly, Giannis would never, ever, ever, ever agree to that because he must try to win a championship every single year or lightning is going to strike him or something. I'm not quite sure. But either way. So John Horst says, all right, Giannis. All right. I understand. We don't want to lose you. We want to make sure you're happy. Let's see what I can do. So this dude releases Damian Lillard and stretches them. So now they're on the hook for all this money over the course of, 5 years or whatever it is, that they got to pay him. And he's not even here. Then that cat goes and signs back with Portland, who traded him here. That's crazy town too. Then, out of nowhere, the Bucks are signing Miles Turner, and the entire NBA is going, wait, what? Because they didn't know about Lillard. Wait, how how do you have money to do this? Like, what are we missing? How is that happening? And you steal them from your rival, and everybody goes crazy. Indiana Pacers fans are livid. Indiana Pacers fans telling Bucks fans, he's not as good as you think he's going to be. You'll see, blah, blah, blah. And away we went. And then what happened next? Giannis couldn't stay healthy for half the season. I questioned prior to the season of how good this team was going to be one way or the other. Eric Name sold me on the vision, sold me on the plan, sold me on the defense, sold me on everything. Sold me to the fact so much that before the season started, I looked at Charlie and says, I think they might represent the East before this is all said and done. If these guys shoot as many threes and make them at the clip they were making them before, which is what their plan was, and Miles Turner is what everybody says Miles Turner is going to be, hey, they may make a run and go do something here. Yeah, no, their defense played really well for a couple games in the beginning, and then that was about it after that was all said and done. The shooting disappeared. The guys that were streaky still were streaky. That never really changed one way or the other. Rollins blossomed into being a good player, so that was a nice little surprise, I guess you could say. KPJ was KPJ, but then he got hurt. He couldn't stay healthy either throughout the course of the season. And Miles Turner stunk out loud, was not good. So it completely blew up in their face. Now, if you trade him last summer instead of this summer, would you have gotten a bigger return? Absolutely. Because now that team gets him for 2 seasons. Not 1, 2 seasons. The haul definitely would have been bigger had you done it prior to last season. But what we all have to remember is something very, very simple. Would you, listening right now, want to be the person that traded Giannis with 2 years left on his contract? When he never came out and asked for a trade at any point publicly, would you want to be that person? Would you want to be the owner of the team that traded one of the greatest players that the NBA has seen in the last decade and the best player in that franchise's history 2 years before he could sign an extension and his deal was up? Would you want to be that person responsible for that? And the fallout that's going to happen after that. Do you want that on your resume and on your record and on your legacy of what you did in your career? Do you want that on you? I don't know how y'all answered because I can't hear y'all, but I'll tell you one thing. Most of the people, if you want to run league offices and front offices, nobody wants that on their record. No chance. John Horst had an opportunity, potentially, according to reports, to go to Detroit. Bucks blocked him. Why do you think he wanted to get the heck out of here? Because he probably didn't want to deal with this. Peter Feigin said, I'm good. See ya. Out the door. I'm not going to be here when all hell breaks loose and everything hits the fan when they trade Giannis and this team goes back the other way. I don't want to go through that. I'm out. Get out before everything happens. Mark Lazary got out because he thought it was going to happen sooner. That's why he got out. Remember him? Oh, thunderstorms are on the horizon. Well, that's what he thought was going to happen a couple of years ago, and it didn't. But that's why he bailed. And I think he was sick of going into the second luxury tax to have Giannis hurt every year and them losing. I think that also played into it as well. So this was all going to eventually come to a head. But again, it's easy to say from a fan standpoint, they should have done this. Okay, cool. Yeah, fine. I don't disagree. They would have gotten more. But look at it from the people that are making the decisions perspective of what they're about to do. Because it's going to be attached to them forever.
Right. It's really beyond what happens on the basketball court. This is a guy that has helped build the house that you're in right now. This is the guy that has made himself the greatest player in Milwaukee Bucks history, cutting ties like that, trading him when he doesn't ask to be traded. All those little things can hurt that relationship a little bit, can hurt all of these things that help you keep whatever kind of vibe that you've built going here going. And now you don't want to disrupt that at all, because the moment you disrupt that is the moment that the target is on your back and that people start looking at you and complaining about you. And I think you want to keep this relationship going as long as possible. I think from a fan's perspective, there are a lot of fans that recognize that, but there's some fans that think about this like it's NBA 2K and that you can just go and cut and trade guys and that it doesn't matter at all. the long-term relationships to the city all matter to Giannis, and they matter to a lot of the fans, and they definitely matter to the ownership too, when those are the two things that are keeping you afloat and keeping this franchise afloat. So if you want to keep the fans happy, if you want to keep the star player happy, you have to find ways to prolong that relationship as long as possible.
Correct. That's what Cleveland did for LeBron over and over and over again, and he left them and went to Miami to join forces. Now, he came back, right, because he didn't win a title when he was here the first time with Cleveland. He came back and finished the deal. So I give LeBron credit for that, because obviously he didn't have to come back and do that at the end of the day. Trail, north side of Milwaukee, you're next on Wisconsin Sports Daily. Do you think Bucks ownership and John Horst have handled the Giannis situation well over the past 2 seasons? And if not, how would you have handled it, Trail?
No, they didn't, Spark. And I told you this at the halfway point. When those reports came out, what the scenario you're explaining about John Horst having that conversation with Giannis, according to the reports, they did have that conversation. And Giannis told him he did not want to wait
Correct.
for it to play out that way.
Yep.
And that's the reason why he asked to be traded to New York.
Yep.
So they had that discussion before the season started. The Bucks wanted to be stubborn, and they wanted to be in their feelings and not be the one to make the big cojones decisions to trade him. So guess what? Now we're in a situation which I told you at the midway point. They had all these teams that wanted to try to find a way to get Giannis. But the teams seen that the Bucks were not going to trade him and they were playing. So now guess what happened? Nobody wants to get involved on the summertime. So now you're stuck with Miami's offer and trying to wait around and see if you can get somebody else to bite. Like, honestly, the only thing this thing turns around, if Brad Stevens has a decision or the owner goes to Brad Stevens and said, listen, I want to put my stamp on this franchise. Go ahead, let's make that big trade. And the Bucks would be able to get a haul, and all we're talking about right now will be all forgotten, and everything will be fine because Giannis is going to leave either way it goes. But if that doesn't happen, the Bucks are either going to have to take Miami Heat underwhelming package, which, okay, you get something from, but it's an underwhelming package for the caliber player that Giannis is, or they're going to try to, keep him and see if they can wait to the halfway point. But I think they're back in the corner right now. And unless something changes within the week coming up and a mystery team's coming and they get a haul somehow, I don't know, Sparky, but I knew this was probably going to happen at the midway point where they had all those teams trying to figure out what could they do and what offer could they put through. They had people engaged, and then they started backing up because they said, it looks like the Bucks are just trying to get us to put our cards on the table, and they really don't want to trade the guy. So everybody started backing up. Now it's like you get to this point now, people don't even trust you no more. Like they don't trust if you're really going to handle a business deal properly with the etiquette that you should handle it. So, like, I don't know. And then Giannis, another thing about Giannis, it was a report out right now that Brad Stevens, the front office of the Boston Celtics, are kind of upset because Giannis is trying to control the narrative about a deal getting done between the Bucks and Boston.
Him and the agents. So correct. Yeah.
It's like him and his agent, they've been doing this for the last couple of years.
But they're using Shams Charania to do it on the national level.
Yes. And because the Bucks have not kind of put a stop to some of this because Giannis is who he is here, like it's kind of like he's trying to make the Bucks trade him to a place. Okay, he wants to go, but they don't have the package that the Bucks want. And on top of that, Giannis is trying to make it so they don't have to play as much. So that way they can have avenues to go out and help their roster when he gets there. So It's just a whole bunch of BS crap.
Yep.
And I'm just sick of all the narratives about, Giannis has gotten hurt. That's true. At the unopportune time.
Yep.
But you're not going to sit here and tell me a guy has been first team NBA. He had to play at least 65 games.
I'll tell you right now. Sure he has. But this is the thing, Terrell. This is, if you're the Bucks, if you want to use something to your advantage, Doc Rivers brought this up with Bill Simmons. He's not playing any basketball overseas this summer for the first time in like the last 4 years. So he's not going to have the wear and tear of playing all summer and then coming into a season. Like this will be the first time in 4 or 5 years that he'll be able to come into the season fresh and actually have a break in the offseason. So you would assume Giannis will probably be in the best shape he's been in like 5 years, probably since around the time that they won the championship. Thanks for the call. Right in that time frame. I mean, that's That's big. Like if I'm Boston or Miami and I'm getting him for a year and then the extension, whatever, at least for, I think this year and next year, he'll have no basketball overseas for the next 2 summers. And we're talking about trying to keep him healthy. And that's, I think that plays into it.
That's as much bubble wrap as you can get with Giannis. I think at this point is to keep him out of playing those competitions, which the Bucks have never been able to or have ever really wanted to keep him out of those competitions because it keeps him happy. I think right now you get that benefit, like you're saying, of not really having to worry about his happiness. His happiness is tied to whether or not he's in Milwaukee anymore. So you just have to focus on getting him out of Milwaukee if that's what he wants.
310 on the Nicolay Law Talk and text line. You think Bucks ownership and John Horst have handled the Giannis situation well over the past 2 seasons? If not, how would you have handled it? 310 says, I'm tired of being held hostage by Giannis. We did our best to handle this, but we owe him nothing, and he doesn't owe us anything. Get as much as we can for him, and that's that. Portland has the best offer. I was a Bucks fan before GA, and I'll be one after. Yes. Agreed. I was a Bucks fan before Giannis, and I'll be a Bucks fan after. I would like to stop one thing, though, before we get out of control here. If he gets dealt, you're not going to know if it's good or not until the draft picks are selected. And more than likely, the draft picks aren't going to be done being selected for like the next 6 or 7 years before you can truly say whether that was a good deal or not. Like, you could make this deal. You could have pick 10, and let's say they get Miami's pick 13. Both could be busts. But then in 2032, you draft a superstar with that pick. And between now and 32, oh my God, they got screwed on that Giannis deal. What a horrible deal. Then you draft the next franchise cornerstone player, and off to the races you go. And then all of a sudden it's like, man, I mean, without that deal, you don't get this guy. So, man, John Horst gets credit. That's how this is going to go, unless it's, Jaylen Brown and a pick, and you don't get those future picks. But for the most part, we all believe, I think, that they're going to get like 4, 5, 6 first-round picks out of this, or pick swaps, whatever. You may hit your home run player in like 2032, and you may not do anything between now and then.
And odds are one of those hits to some degree. One of those becomes some sort of all-star level player at least. That's what you got to hope for. That's what you got to hope for. I think just when you get to that point where you get worried about the first couple of years, and then you finally get to that point where you get the superstar player maybe, and you go, oh, John Horst was right. Is he still going to be the GM of the team at that point, or are you going to be looking back at him as somebody else's GM or in a different position?
No, and that's exactly right. No question. Let's see here. 414. Let's put some blame on Giannis. I think that's fair. It's too late in the process to worry about fallout. This doesn't change the fact that it's time to part ways. Agreed with you. Agreed. But as we've talked about, how this is handled publicly is going to be a big, big part of this whole deal. It just is. Like what he says after he gets dealt, if he gets dealt, it's going to be a part of it. Now, I don't know if y'all heard about what Chris Haynes had to say. We're going to do that coming up at 420 because Chris Haynes put something out there today that may make you real nauseous. And please, Trell, don't be driving a car or anything when you hear Chris Haynes audio. You're probably going to go find it before I come to it at 420. I am telling you, you may not be very happy. If you're a Bucks fan, if you're a Giannis fan and you want to keep Giannis, maybe you're a little bit happier about it, but yeah, Chris Haynes, who is close to the Giannis camp, right? Yeah, doesn't seem overly all convinced that they're going to trade Giannis between now and Tuesday. So we'll get to that coming up at 420. Coming up next, we switch gears to the Green Bay Packers. The Athletic Football Show with Robert Mays did a piece on the Packers offensive line that raised my eyebrows, at least. And we'll hear what they had to say coming up next. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily. Live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. The Minions really wanted to impress their new big boss, Wendy's. So they cooked up some fun chaos for the fans. Say hello to the Minions and Monsters meal, featuring one of 4 unique collectibles. New Banana Frosty Swirl, your choice of a big bacon classic or spicy chicken sandwich, plus a small fry. It's time to go bananas over this exclusive Wendy's experience, limited time only. Welcome in. Hope y'all are well. Brewers doing their thing last night. 2 runs, both home runs. Feel like the power numbers are starting to pick up a little bit here.
Throughout the lineup, too.
Yeah.
That's what is nice.
Mm-hmm.
You're seeing different guys every night get into it. It's
yep.
nice.
Cooper Pratt with an air, some ground outs.
First game.
Didn't matter. He was happy after the game. Hey, we won, dude. I'm good. Like, whatever. He was in a good mood after the game, talking to the media and so forth. Talk more about the crew coming up at 3:00. Don't forget, leadoff show. Tommy Wirtz, the big old hunk of love, from 5 until 6:30. He'll be on tonight. And then the Potawatomi Sportsbook post-game show with the franchise, Tim Allen and Tommy Wirtz. They will be on tonight as well from 9:30 to 11, or right when that game is done. Wisconsin Sports Radio Network, your place for all stuff Brewers. And switch gears to the Green Bay Packers. So the Athletic football show is a show with Robert Mays and Derek Klassen. And we've had Klassen on for sure. I believe we've had Robert Mays on too. I think we've had both of them on. Mm-hmm. And I like both of them. I'm good with both guys. I got no issues with either one of them. Klassen, I think, is really, really good. And they get into talking about the state of the Packers offensive line on the Athletic football show.
I think overall, the combination of Watson, Reed, Golden, and Tucker Kraft, and just how complementary those skill sets feel, combined with an offensive line that I do think is going to give you a certain floor, and LaFleur, and just the complete backlog we have of him constructing offenses that just make things easier for everybody, I still just feel like we're going to wake up in the middle of the season and you having them at 10 is going to feel, you're going to have regrets about that.
I just don't think the offensive line gives them a floor. It is not a talented unit, like at all, really. Zach Tom is really good, but other than that, you have a ton of question marks if any of these guys can even be average NFL starters.
I say gives them a floor, I think the reason I land there is like it's good enough. I think with the offensive line, my thought is the same way it has in plenty of years past, where like even if the talent didn't seem that great, we get to a place where like it's good enough. It's good enough. And I do think that we have a chance for that to happen again, even if there are more concerns about the individual talent, like for the starting 5 and the depth that we have behind them. The depth is a very good thing to bring up, but I still feel like overall, it's a group that is probably going to clear the bar. And when you combine that with everything else, that's why I have them a couple notches higher.
I think for me, and I actually think that's like, I get that argument of them just being good enough. I think for me, it's just they were barely there last year. And it's easy for me to see how they would fall under that line this year.
This is the thing. I don't necessarily disagree with that. There's question marks on this offensive line. I don't think I necessarily disagree with that. Do you have concerns about this Packers offensive line like they discussed there on the Athletic football show? Is that a unit that you look at right now and go, this whole offense, may hinge on player A and player B actually being good or whatever? In years past, when you had Bakhtiari and TJ Lang and a lot of those guys, offensive lines were just rock solid every year. Like, solid. Don't worry about the offensive line. It doesn't necessarily feel that way probably going into this season. Nikolay Law, talking text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250, on the socials at WI Sports Radio. Charlie, I'll go to you first, Mr. Charlie Usen. Your thoughts on this Packers offensive line as we sit here today. Again, we haven't even got to training camp at the end of July yet, so still don't really know. Haven't seen these guys in pads yet at these points from last year. So again, Jordan Morgan, he was that left tackle last year. Jordan Morgan's getting beat in OTAs, but as you pointed out, it's impossible
it's a hard time.
It's impossible for an offensive lineman who can't do much of anything in those OTAs other than move their feet to really do anything to slow down any of those defensive ends. So even you gave him a pass on that whole thing.
Well, and Jordan Morgan at the end of last season played a little right tackle and looked pretty good at right tackle. So I think there's a lot of confidence that he can switch on over to left tackle again and be in that spot and maybe pick up that mantle that Rasheed Walker left behind. I think for me, looking at this group that we have out there for the Green Bay Packers, and based on what we've seen over the past couple seasons with this group, as long as you can get 5 to 6 guys to stay healthy throughout the season, I'm comfortable with the unit. I don't think there's a lot of great players out there. I think Zach Tom is a pretty good player, borderline great player. I think, like I said yesterday, Sean Ryan has that ability to potentially go from good to great this year at the starting center spot. Aaron Banks, if he can stay on the field, again, had a better second half of the year last year than I think a lot of people give him credit for. It's still not good, but better. You can, I think, be comfortable with this group. But the moment injuries start happening to this group, which I know they will based on what we've seen over the past couple of years, Zach Tom hasn't been able to stay healthy. Aaron Banks hasn't been able to stay healthy. I don't really know if Jordan Morgan is going to be able to stay healthy in his first full year starting. That's a really hard ask for a lot of young offensive linemen getting that first season of full play. I think there's going to be issues with that. And the moment those 1 to 2 to 3 injuries start popping up, that's when I'm going to start being concerned pretty quickly with this Packers O-line.
Yeah, I think the depth is definitely a potential concern here because the Green Bay Packers, for whatever the reason, really aren't all in on veteran depth. And if we're being honest, probably around the National Football League, most teams probably aren't all in on veteran depth at this point because you have to pick and choose with a hard salary cap where you're going to spend your money. So in some areas of your football team, you're going to go younger. And the Green Bay Packers are maybe different than a lot of teams where they just go young across the board. It don't even matter. Like starter, young. Bench guy, young. Doesn't matter. But I think for a lot of teams, they go, okay, we can be younger behind our linebackers, right? We'll be okay there. We can go be younger behind our starting tight end. Like, that's not going to kill us one way or the other. And I think defensive line and offensive line are the other two positions where you feel like, for the most part, that you can probably be a little bit younger there and still get a big guy to kind of come in and hold his own and not be god-awful and get himself embarrassed. But that's only if you're coaching them up and you're developing them before they have to get put into that situation. For years at Wisconsin, on that football program, what would happen? You would recruit a Charlie Usen to come play football in the Big Ten for Wisconsin. Charlie Usen would show up from Brookfield Central, where he played his high school football, and they say, Charlie, we're redshirting you. You're not playing, but your goal is to learn the playbook, work on technique, and most importantly, more than anything else, we're going to add about 30 to 40 pounds on you, whether you eat all day, whether it's through muscle or whatever, but we need to get you to like 320, 330, so you're ready to go for Big Ten play. And that's what they did. And the same with running backs and the same with the receivers as far as adding muscle, working on the playbook. Everybody redshirted at Wisconsin their first year, and then we're ready to play their sophomore and junior year. Nowadays, you can't do that because nowadays you do that, they're gone. A, they just won't come. Or B, they're in the portal the next year because they're mad that they didn't get to play for you their freshman year. So you can't do that anymore. But here in the NFL, where we sit now, you can still redshirt guys and be okay. You can redshirt a third-round pick and say, you're going to be over here and you're going to learn kind of going forward. If they didn't do that, Jordan Morgan would have came in and started at left tackle his first year. Rasheed Walker would have had him been traded or been a swing tackle or whatever the case may be. Instead, they said, Jordan Morgan, we're going to put you back here, no pressure. And then what happened? Because your depth isn't that good, you were screwed. Oh, we need your left guard. Oof. It's not so good there. But at least he's getting snaps. That's good. And then, right guard is not so great. Okay, well, now we're gonna try right tackle now. And he looked a little bit better at right tackle. But when they drafted him, they knew he was not playing right away. They knew it. They knew he was going to be a guy in the background. Most teams can't afford to do it with a first-round pick, but most teams will do that third round and back and let a guy develop behind the scenes.
When you look at the offensive line, defensive line, middle linebacker, those three positions that you brought up earlier in the NFL, I think what those positions and what teams value at those positions more than a lot of other aspects of that job is that you are mentally and physically ready for the NFL. I think those are the two kind of biggest things that they look for those positions. So I think you can be a 7-year offensive line vet and not really have a lot of starting experience in the past in the league, but a team will sign you to a bigger contract and start you for a whole season over a rookie because they just feel like that you, as somebody who's been around in the league, has been built more, again, physically and mentally to be ready for that position instead of just starting a rookie right away that may not be in that boat. And I think there are some rookies that are ready to go and do that. And those guys usually end up just being really good right away because they are mentally or physically ready to go from the get-go. And I don't think those guys come around very often. So a lot of teams are willing to give these older players that maybe haven't had that chance in the past a shot over these younger guys.
And it works for quarterbacks too.
Mm-hmm.
Even though nobody in this league outside of Green Bay wants to sit a first-round quarterback and let them develop for a couple of years before you throw them into the fire.
Some teams have tried, like the Bears tried it when they signed Mike Glennon and drafted Mitch Trubisky, which I think was just a disaster and all around. But they tried it, and that was a player that didn't have starting experience, but they thought he was mentally ready for the league. He's a big dude who's going to be physically ready for the league for this spot. Let's put him in there and see what happens. They just weren't as smart about it as the Packers were.
No, absolutely right. So you look at his offensive line right now. Aaron Banks played much better in the last third or so of the season once he got healthy. Can he stay healthy for another year, for a full season this year? If he can, I think you're fine at left guard. Left tackle, question mark. We don't know. He can't be worse than he was at right guard.
I'm giving him some confidence.
Yes.
I'm going to say they're fine.
I'm going to say he's at least average.
Yeah.
So he's at left tackle. Left guard is Banks, fine. Center Sean Ryan, I don't know. Like, I know Ryan Wood has a man crush on this dude, but I'm not there yet on whether or not this is the dude to play at center. At right guard, he was okay. He was serviceable at right guard. Can he be good at the center position? They paid him like they believe he can be good at the center position kind of going forward. That is going to be a process that will take throughout training camp and throughout the preseason to get him ready for week one.
And I think they paid him like they don't want to start a rookie center, a young center, or put a young guy into that position. They knew they had a guy who knows the offense and is ready to go. Yes, the second half of last year when he played center wasn't the most exciting. He made some mistakes, especially snapping the ball. But I think you can work through those in an entire offseason working at the position. I think he'll be okay too.
Now you get to the right side of the line. Zach Tom at right tackle. Again, health, the biggest thing. Can he stay healthy and not be in as much pain as he was last year? If healthy, Zach Tom is the best offensive lineman you have. That's not debatable. Now, what happens at right guard?
Jagger Burns, the guy that's been in there right now. Anthony Belton doesn't seem like, based on what we've heard throughout these OTAs, mini camps, A, that he's healthy, or B, that he's been able to kind of build on what he's ended with last year, which again was not a super higher season.
OTAs aren't anything to judge offensive linemen on, and I know they're getting high-end Jaeger guy here, but I want to see pads on, all of that, see what happens. I have a hard time believing a man the size of Belton, who they call Escalade, is going to get taken over by this Jaeger Birding character.
Well, just because you're big doesn't mean you're good. I mean,
just because you're big does mean you can get in people's way.
It does, but it also means that you might be too slow to get in people's way. And if you have a really quick defensive lineman or a really quick linebacker in front of you and you miss that and they make a TFL, that looks even worse than you just being able to block them.
I mean, I did post games last year with Tommy. You were to the show every day with me. Did we really talk about Belton missing blocks a lot last year? Like, I don't remember having a lot of those conversations.
Talk about Anthony Belton running people over or being a monster on the field either.
No, but okay. So in fairness to your offensive line position, if you're not being talked about, you're probably doing fine, right? If you're talking about blowing people up, okay, well, now we're talking about really, really high-end guys.
I think it was Rasheed Walker kind of effect with Anthony Belton, where it's a guy filling in for a position that I don't think you really expected him to be in at the beginning of the season.
Agreed. They thought he was a tackle, I think.
And because he can just be there and because he's in that spot and it's not causing distractions, you're happy about it. I don't think that means he played well. I think when you look back at a lot of the stats, look at the way people are talking about him as we've gone through this offseason, the guys that are around the team, I don't think it's showing the excitement that I felt like we felt earlier in the season with him.
He's Charlie Uzit, see Sparky Pfeiffer with you. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Every Friday, we have Plead the Fifth, brought to you by Habish, and Rotier. And, baby, that's when you can tell somebody to just be quiet. Boy, we had a couple nominations from yesterday that we're going to play later in this show. We could have held till Friday, but I can't wait that long to hold back my feelings. We have to get to them sooner. But Friday, Charlie is building a bank of people that should plead the fifth. You can also nominate people for Plead the Fifth throughout the course of the week by simply texting in who you want to nominate. It can be talk show hosts, can be family members, friends, people you see on TV, athletes, GMs, coaches, doesn't matter. 414-677-1250, 677-1250. Habish and Rotier, founded in 1930, man. Nearly 100 years representing Wisconsinites all over. If you're hurt in a car accident, you're going to have choices, right? If you want to hire a lawyer, there's lots of choices. There's law firms all over the freaking place. Now it's up to you at that point of, okay, well, I mean, how big of a deal really is this to you at the end of the day? If this is a big deal to you and if this is important to you, why wouldn't you just go hire the best people that you could hire? That's Habish and Rotier. National reputation, hometown service. And again, the hometown service aspect is real simple, man. They take care of you. They are approachable. They will work with you, and they're going to do everything they can to get the most they can for you that you feel like you deserve at that point. And if you've never been through it, and I hope you never get to go through it because I've been through it, and you're hurt, and you've got doctor bills and potentially hospital bills, if you're at that level, or your car is totaled and you don't know how you're going to get a ride or a car going forward, like there's so much stuff that goes through that. You need help. You need guidance of how to take these steps and get through it. And you need people that you can trust that have a proven track record, not some fly-by-night person, right? Habish, and Rotier. They win, and they will do their best for you. National reputation, hometown service. Check them out online at Habish.com. So Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here. Welcome back. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily. Live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Don't forget, free shuttles to and from Brewers home games. Game 2 coming up tonight between the Brewers and the Cleveland Guardians. All you got to do is go to the Potawatomi Sportsbook. $5 wager, same-day wager. Could be on the Brewers, like say for tonight. That's what I would say. Or make a purchase at the Potawatomi Sportsbook kitchen, all-day brunch. Deliciousness is all over. Homemade pastries, desserts, appetizers, over 40 different beers on tap, over a dozen different specialty cocktails. That is where you want to go. Maybe do a little pre-gaming before you get on the shuttle, right? Park for free in their parking garage. For more information, all I got to do is check them out at Potawatomi.com. Again, 2-level sports book, man. 2,000 square foot center screen, over 30 sporting events at one time. We'll talk more about the crew coming up next. It is Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Also coming up here in the next hour, Greg Smith, national recruiting analyst for On3 and Rivals, talk about a big Badger column that he pieced earlier today on Badgers football. Back after this.
Some shows talk about one team. Other shows barely talk sports. This show will talk Packers, Brewers, and Bucks. Every day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily with Steve Sparky Pfeiffer on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
Welcome in hour number 2. Live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Thanks for listening around the beautiful state of Wisconsin, including in our brand new location there in Madison, the Fan in Madison, 94.9 HD2, right there on your FM dial, 94.9 HD2, the Fan in Madison. Make sure you check out all of our local shows each weekday from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., plus the Best in Brewers coverage with the leadoff show and the Potawatomi Sportsbook post-game show. Again, tonight, leadoff show, Tommy Wirtz from 5 until 6:30. Potawatomi Sportsbook postgame show. Tim Allen and Tommy Wirtz after the last pitch. You make the switch right here to the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. It is top of the hour, 3 o'clock. Before we get to Greg Smith, national recruiting analyst for Rivals and On3 Sports, who wrote a great piece on the Badgers football recruiting and how they've done this offseason. Before we get to him at about 3:20 or so, we have to do this.
It's time to talk about the crew. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
All right, time to talk about the crew. It's been a while since we didn't talk Brewers in the first hour of this show, hasn't it? I couldn't tell you the last time where we didn't get to the Brewers.
It's been a long time. And they won last night.
They did.
And we still didn't get to it.
It wasn't like they got embarrassed and nobody wanted to talk about it. They're like, oh, that game sucked.
Exactly,
We're just going to move on and not talk about them at the end of the day. No, they did their thing and all of that, but it just, didn't work out necessarily the way we wanted it to as far as planning the show. So we are guaranteed to have them here at 3 o'clock. So here we are. I want to get into a little bit, if you all don't mind. And am I missing? I swear to God, I always get screwed up on where everything is in these sound folders. And then when I go to play a highlight that I'm assuming is going to be there, I don't see it. So I don't even see the highlights from last night. So maybe you can find the highlights from last night. But last night, 2 home runs last night for the Milwaukee Brewers. Bryce Terang with a home run first. And then Garrett Mitchell with the other home run in this game for the Brewers. And that was pretty much all that the offense needed at this point were those 2. I mean, that was, to me, a pretty little interesting detail. Why? Simple. Robert Gasser was on the mound. And you had 2 home runs and you said, we're good. What? Wait, what? Hold on. And after the game, Murphy, in Pat Murphy style, he's got to throw ball more in the strike zone. His off-speed stuff has to get better if he's going to stay in the rotation. And, he's very critical, and then he'll throw in a positive at the end to make the child feel good about himself. It's typical parent speak. It's absolutely 100% parent speak, how Pat Murphy talks about Sprode and Gasser and these guys. But he did better than I think anybody thought he was going to do. He didn't give up anything out there at American Family Field. I think you have to be very, very happy when you get that type of success out of your young starting pitcher when there is no Mizorowski in this series. There is no Kyle Harrison in this series. Both of them will pitch in the next series against the Braves. Miz is pitching on Friday. So there's got both of them going in that series, which is fine. But now you're relying on, your other 3 dudes in this rotation to get you through this series and hopefully win the series and get 2 out of 3. And to get that first one with only those 2 long balls, that's pretty impressive right there.
As Mitchell sends one deep right center. Goodbye. The Brewers back in front with 1 swing of the bat. A frozen rope out of here. And it's 2-1 Milwaukee.
There's a piece on brewerfanatic.com that you can go look at and look at the transformation of Garrett Mitchell. When we talked about Cooper Pratt, and I have talked about Cooper Pratt, it's been like, he'll never hit. He can't hit, so forth. Fine. You can think what you like. No problem. But I'm telling you, with Garrett Mitchell, he's always been able to be pretty good hitting the baseball. When Garrett Mitchell came up here, he instantaneously became a lot of Brewers fans' favorite player because you saw everything. You saw some power. You saw some speed. You saw a good arm. You saw him be good defensively. Hard nose, always giving effort type guy. Like, it was a guy that people liked. Problem is, he hasn't been able to stay healthy the last couple of years. So fans have kind of been like, I love Garrett Mitchell, but he's never out there. So I'm going to go buy this jersey. I love Garrett Mitchell, but I'm going to go root for this dude too because I like this guy. Mitchell's fan base would be much larger had he just been able to stay healthy for 2 years. This Garrett Mitchell that you're seeing here is more along the lines of the Garrett Mitchell that I think people were expecting as he was coming up through the minors of what he might be able to potentially do. Garrett Mitchell in his last 23 games, courtesy of Brewers Media Relations, he is hitting .333, not in the last 5 games, not in the last week, and the last 23 games. So that's like 3 weeks, 4 weeks, somewhere in that area. 4 home runs, 12 RBIs, 388 OBP, 615 slugging for a 1.004 OPS from Garrett Mitchell. Yesterday, Tommy Wirtz was talking about on this show about, man, if this is who Garrett Mitchell is, this lineup gets really dangerous. And you and I were talking about it before the show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then I had responded when Tommy had said that, but are you really that sold on Garrett Mitchell yet? So are you? It takes just 1 month?
No, because you knew it was here. Like, I've got friends that are huge Garrett Mitchell guys. And they're like, dude, if he stays healthy. And I was like, yeah, I get it but that's the thing. Like, we have no-name running back over there in Green Bay right now. If he's healthy, I promise you, he will be really, really good as a running back. If he ever gets healthy, right? I'm not giving up on the dude as far as he lost his talent. He's not any good. He just can't stay on the field, so I'm done talking about him. Garrett Mitchell now, again, can he stay healthy for 4 more months? I don't know, or 3.5 months, whatever. If he's healthy, I think, maybe I'm crazy, I think Garrett Mitchell, when healthy, can be 280, 285, 20, 25 homers, same amount of stolen bases, and a decent amount of RBIs. That's what I think he is. And if he is that, and he's your starting center fielder, you're happy.
I guess I'm just a little more skeptical of him as a player so far when he has been healthy for the Brewers up to this point, up to this past month. It just hadn't been what you had expected, even when he was on the field. Defensively, I think you saw those flashes that you were always told he could be, but offensively, he just wasn't bringing it. And now, yes, over this past month, it's really exciting to see him start to get to this level. But I said this about Andrew Vaughn before this season too. I need to see it for an entire season before I give it to that player that I'm ready to accept that he's going to be that type of guy.
Why did you do that?
Well, what do you mean?
Why did you just do that?
Well, Andrew Vaughn's proving me right. Saying that he's going out there and going out there and doing what he's doing, and I'm excited about it. I'm starting to get happier and more confirmed with Andrew Vaughn.
That's good.
That can happen with Garrett Mitchell, right?
No, that's not what I'm talking about. I completely forgot about that, and I put it out of my memory when I went to bed last night, and I hadn't thought about it all day. And then you had to bring his name up, Andrew Vaughn, and then it triggered what happened last night to me. And I was happy about this segment. I was like, I got a bunch of good positive stats we're going to talk about. It's going to be a happy segment. And then he says Andrew Vaughn. So now I have to bring it up and talk about it. If you were watching the game last night and didn't get a little twitchy and angry when this happened, then you love Sal Frelick, which is fine. You can love Sal Frelick. You started Andrew Vaughn against a righty, which is a big no-no for Murphy. You started him against a righty. I was so excited. I was like, okay. Here we go, right? Let's go. Here we go. He goes 0 for 2, struck out looking his second at bat.
Immediately done.
Right? Third at bat comes up. Bases loaded, I believe it was. 2 outs. And he pulled him for Sal Frelick. I was like, oh, what are you doing? What? This wasn't even serious. You were not serious. This was not serious. Maybe Matt Arnold told him to start him. I don't know. But as soon as he had the chance in a big situation, he went and yanked him. I could not believe he pulled him for Sal Frelick. I'm texting Tommy, swearing, and he's like, I have no idea. Like, Tommy couldn't defend it. He's like, I don't know. And my timeline, I'm watching my Twitter, and people are tweeting, what is he doing? Again, what does Sal Frelick do? Ground ball. That's what he does. I was happy. I forgot all about that till you said Andrew Vaughn's name, and then it just brought back all the memories of last night.
But I think that's kind of like, it's frustrating that he goes into that situation with the confidence and immediately takes away that confidence. Yep. You have to give those guys more time.
You just have
You're
done.
it's got to be at least a series in my mind that you say, okay, I'm going to trust you as a full-time first baseman in this lineup. I'm going to trust Jake as a full-time right fielder. Sal, you need a break, man. Like you have to set these standards if you want to continue moving forward like this. And it just feels like we don't know what Pat Murphy wants right now. Like it feels
Maybe
like
Pat Murphy doesn't know what Pat Murphy wants right now.
we talk about him maybe playing mind games by playing all the bad players to get all the good players up from the minor leagues. But then he does stuff like this where it's how do you earn trust from him if you are a young player, a player who hasn't been on this team for a long time, to get to that point to get where he just wants to put you out there on an everyday basis no matter what.
If the expectation is, and I think it is, Jake Bauers has gone into free agency probably. What's he going to do with Vaughn next year? We're going to go sign somebody to platoon with Vaughn at first base? Is that the plan going into next year? I hope not.
I think at some point here in this season, you're going to see Blake Burke get brought up to AAA. You start next season if he plays really well in AAA with him as a rotational guy at first base.
Maybe. More good numbers from the Brewers. Jackson Churio in his last 16 games, 69 at-bats. Nice sample size. 377, 8 home runs, 21 RBIs, 429 on base, 783 slugging, Charlie. 783. 1.211 OPS.
Yeah, that's pretty solid. Jackson Churio is so much fun to watch, man. He is, I think, probably my favorite player on the Brewers right now. Just the way he plays baseball, it just looks so smooth. It looks like he is putting such a little effort out there, but he's still going 100 miles per hour no matter what.
Yep.
I just love watching. It's very like Mizorowski on the mound. It's just, again, you're watching something magical happen every time he goes up.
One more positive stat for you before we get to Greg Smith. Offensive rankings in June. This is from Sleeper Brewers. You ready? 104 runs. That's first.
Nice.
299 team batting average.
Pretty good.
That's first. 379 on base percentage. That's
Pretty
first. 521 slugging. Third. 25 home runs. That's fourth. 11.4% walk rate. That's first.
I'm sure by a mile too on that one.
I'm just saying, I don't. You look at this right now as they're put, and if Cooper Pratt starts to go here at some point, and I don't know how long it's going to be before he starts to go, but if that bat gets to going like it was here when they were at home in Nashville, and he starts putting up numbers, watch out. Like this is going to get silly crazy.
And you have probably the best pitching duo in baseball with Miz and Harrison.
Yeah.
And then you have probably one of the best relievers in baseball in Aaron Ashby, who collects his 10th win last night, leads the league first pitcher to get to 10 wins. And he's only the second reliever since 1953 when Roy Hand for the Pirates did it.
And how are you going to keep that dude out of the All-Star game? And he's not been on anybody's All-Star ballot that I've seen. All the media guys.
He's got to be.
I've seen nobody put him on their All-Star ballot.
Well, I think it's just people put so much emphasis on the starters that they think that that's going to end up taking.
They don't care about wins either. It's about
they don't care about the
ERA
wins,
and all that other
and
stuff.
then the reliever spots are safe for the bad teams that need to get a guy in there.
But those are closers. When was the last time you saw somebody that does what Ashby does?
I feel like there's got to be at least
all-star?
like 1 to 2 guys per year that are like in that long release spot, middle release spot.
You go look at all-star rosters. Well, I talked to Greg Smith coming up next. National recruiting analyst from On3 wrote a great piece today on the Badgers recruiting efforts. They flipped a kid last night. We'll talk about that too. Follow him on X at Greg Smith Rivals. That's straight ahead. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Don't forget the Banana Frosty Swirl is a perfect treat from Wendy's Minions friends. They created the banana cream sauce with real banana. The flavor is like a classic banana cream pie or a pudding and pairs perfectly with Wendy's Vanilla Frosty. Wisconsin Sports Daily, Steve Sparky, Pfeiffer, Charlie Usen. Hope you are well here on a Wednesday. Charlie Sounds of the Day comes up in the next segment. Green and Gold Update coming up at 4 o'clock. Ben Solak of ESPN has some interesting thoughts on Brendan Sorsby and his journey into the NFL and the supplemental draft. We'll jump into that coming up at 4 o'clock. Joining us now, one of my favorites on the guest hotline, powered by Gruber Law. One call, that's all. He is Greg Smith of Rivals and On3 Sports. Follow him on X at Greg Smith Rivals. Greg, thanks for coming on, man.
Hey, always good to be back with you, man. How are you?
I'm doing good. I follow the big, talented national recruiting analyst, Greg Smith, on X like everybody else does. And boom, there I see a Badger piece by Greg Smith. And I was like, whoa, looky here. We're making some waves. We're making some news. Greg Smith is writing about us. So then I immediately texted you and I said, I was like, all right, dude, let's talk. So yesterday, the Badgers make a flip. Hopefully I'm pronouncing this guy's name right. Brody Pfaffenstiel from Texas Tech. They flipped that dude. And I think that was a pretty good get there by Wisconsin to make that flip.
Yeah, no, I think it was a great flip to make that flip. He's another kid, and this is kind of a theme, I think, with this recruiting class for Wisconsin. And stop me if you heard this before. Winning in the trenches is important in the Big Ten. And so Wisconsin has done a good job of getting front seven players added to this defensive recruiting class. I think that Brody's a really talented player. And I think that it's going to sound weird to say, but stealing a kid from Texas Tech at this point is a really good sign. And so, no, he's a very good get. Really quick first step. I think he'll be a riser in the rankings actually later on in the process.
The other part about this is, I remember Al McGuire used to say this back in the day, the old Marquette coach, about when he was at Marquette and about how he essentially, chain recruited going forward, where, he'd get a couple of kids from the playgrounds in New York. They turn out to be something. They'd go back and tell kids to come play at Marquette, and he'd be able to get another one or two kids. And that's essentially what happens with recruiting the same way, where, you have this Bucky's barbecue or whatever, and you bring these recruits in or portal guys or whoever the case may be in. And then you've got guys like Mason Posa, who's like, I'm going to help turn this program around. And he had his great year last year at linebacker and really selling guys on the program.
Yeah, no, that absolutely helps all the time. And it's one of the things, too, and a thing that, too, that's definitely worth mentioning on this is the in-state recruiting that Wisconsin has done with all of the kids that they have committed from the state. I think it's 8 of the top 10 kids from the state of Wisconsin in this class. Per Rivals is they're all committed to Wisconsin. And so those kids love talking up Wisconsin. There were a handful of them actually that were at a Chicago Under Armour camp this summer that I was at, and they just couldn't stop raving about the program and trying to bring other kids there to play with them. So, yeah, it's definitely an infectious thing right now where kids are really liking what the Badgers have to offer.
Can you explain something to me? Let's just play in a fantasy world for a second, okay? Let's act like they simply don't have more money than everybody else. Let's act like it's not money.
Okay.
This team has been awful. Like, how are they selling kids that it's going to be different and turned around when the guy running the ship has turned it into the Titanic?
Well, remember, now I cannot say that money definitely has a part in this.
Sure.
So I can't ignore it.
I know that.
Remember last year about this time, we were having these same kind of conversations where I was like, man, Sparky, the kids really believe in what Fickle is doing. Now, it did not go well last year when they got out there on the field, and we kind of saw that coming with that schedule and the way that was going to line up, right? This year it's more manageable. So, I think that you hope to avoid that kind of, falling off the cliff when you get going. But the one thing has remained the same, which is kids they get in the room with Fickle and they really do believe in this program and what they're doing and the way that they can turn things around. I think the other guys, I think another thing that helps is the guys on the team currently seemingly still believe in that as well. And so it's not like you go up there to Madison and, you sometimes you get around players currently on the team and they tell kids like, they don't say don't come here, but they'll say, hey, I don't know about these guys. It does not seem like that's happening up there in Wisconsin either. So I think it's a combination of things. But the biggest thing, and I guess probably surprise for you, is that a lot of players and families still have a lot of support and belief in what Luke Fickell has got going up there.
Okay, I think that is a surprise to me. The one thing Luke Fickell does not have going for him right now is an athletic director. He's got an interim athletic director, and they're still looking for a chancellor and everything else. So this is all fine and dandy, but if the new person that eventually gets that job comes in and has their own person, all of this is going to be for naught at the end of the day. The other part of this recruiting deal, besides doing in-state stuff, which they rarely do, and to be honest with you, I don't believe this is going to continue going forward. I think this is a one-time deal. I would be highly surprised if we see this going forward past this year. It's a really, really talented class in Wisconsin this year, so they'd be kind of stupid not to go get the kids in the state this year. But the other thing that seemingly is starting to become a little bit of a pipeline that they've started to come on here is this Desert Edge High School in Goodyear, Arizona. It feels like they're starting to build a little bit of a pipeline there, getting Yazin Zion and Nathan Jones from there, and now potentially Jelani George could be another one.
Yeah, it's definitely a good thing. So I think one of the things that schools like Wisconsin has to do, is find those schools in a different state or those areas in another state where those kids are also always not likely to stay home, right? So Arizona is actually a really good spot to do that. If you just go back kind of through the last 5 years or so of players coming out of Arizona, they have a lot of players. Not all of those kids stay home. Kenny Dillingham, the guy at Arizona State, has talked about this, about trying to build the fence, right, and keep those guys home. And so that's a really good idea for Wisconsin to be able to do that. You're going to get good players out of there. They may get, like you said, that third one. I think some of those, Illinois, those Chicago suburbs is another good spot as well for Wisconsin, because for whatever reason, as well as Brett Bielema and those guys have done in Illinois, kids do not seemingly they're not over the moon about going down there. So those are a couple of hot spots I think that are developing for Wisconsin.
Well, with all due respect to Champaign, I mean, it's not exactly Madison at this point. I mean,
hey, listen, you said it down there.
Well, I mean, I'm not a Brett guy either, but I'll give him the benefit of the doubt that location is not exactly the best to recruit kids to. I want to talk about another person, talking with Greg Smith, national recruiting analyst for Rivals and On3. Follow him on X at Greg Smith Rivals as he joins us here on Wisconsin Sports Daily. I would assume that you know who Phil Steele is and are well aware of his college guide and everything else that he does, correct?
Yes, I'm well aware.
Phil Steele, in his little bold prediction for the Badgers, is saying that he could see the Badgers doubling their win total to 8 or more wins this year. Now, this schedule is definitely a lot easier than what it was last year. Now, yes, they have Alabama at Lambeau to start. Okay, fine. Besides that, you don't have the Ohio States and so forth on this schedule. Is it feasible in your mind, outside looking in, that this team could get to 8 wins?
Man,
that's a big jump.
That's a big jump, and you usually don't really see that. I mean, the schedule does line up a lot nicer, because not only you don't have Ohio State or Oregon or Indiana.
Correct.
On the schedule. So yeah, and you get USC at home, and you never know. It's October, it might be cold. Yeah, I actually maybe I'll put me a firm maybe on getting to 8 wins, kind of doubling up the win total. I think it's a lot more possible than I would have thought, not knowing the schedule offhand. But yeah, I think that there's a chance for that. But it's going to come down to the thing I feel like we always talk about with Wisconsin under Fickell. Do the quarterbacks stay healthy? And then what does your quarterback play look like?
How good is Colton Joseph?
I mean, he's pretty good. He's pretty good. If he's going to be, listen, if he's out there and healthy, we cannot take that for granted with Wisconsin football right now, it feels like. But he's a pretty good player. He can help them get to that 7-8 win mark.
I think we agree that Fickell's on a hot seat here. He definitely has to have a bowl team. Whether that's 6 wins, 7 wins, 8 wins, 9 wins, must be in a bowl. I don't care who the AD is. He misses the bowl game again this year, he's gone. Having said that, what is the status? What does it look like in your neck of the woods over there at Nebraska with Matt Rule?
I feel like it's weird. Like they're in the kind of the spot that Wisconsin was in last year, where they have a really tough schedule, and so people don't know if this is going to go sideways because they have a tough schedule. But Matt Rule is out here saying this is the best team that they've had since he's been here. So I don't know. I think if you continue to progress for Matt Rule, and if he can find a way to get to 7-8 wins, obviously make a bowl game again. But the key to him is going to be not getting blown out when you play Oregon, when you play Indiana. Like I think they play Ohio State as well. You cannot get blown out in those games to actually show progress. But that's going to be a little bit behind what I think people were hoping for when they hired Matt Rule, and considering what they're paying him, what they just extended him for.
Boy, you got to be excited if you're a Nebraska fan, Charlie, don't you? Nebraska fan, you want to get tickets, you want to see their non-conference. Ohio Bobcats, Bowling Green State Falcons, and the North Dakota Fighting Hawks.
I know, like all those teams. It's not like I'm hearing a random school,
I know who they are, too. I'm just saying that's one way to save your job. Get 3 and then figure out how to get the rest. I mean, the rest of the schedule at Michigan State, Maryland at Nebraska, Indiana, Nebraska, October 10th. That'll be tough. Then at Oregon, that's not going to be fun. Then Washington to you, that's winnable. At Illinois could be winnable. Nebraska at Rutgers should be winnable. Then Ohio State at Nebraska, but not to the end, November 21st. Then Nebraska at Iowa. I mean, damn, they should win like 9 games.
Sure. If the most like fervent Kool-Aid drinkers around here would probably say that, but I don't know if they're getting to that. That Indiana, Oregon bye week, Washington stretch is not fun.
No.
That's not good.
What happened to Raiola? Wasn't he going to be something at quarterback? Where's he? He left, I heard.
He definitely left.
Oh my Lord.
Oregon. He is the backup at Oregon now.
What happened? What went wrong there? Because he was supposed to be that guy.
Yeah, he was supposed to be that guy. I think there were like strong disagreements behind the scenes over how much control he should have over audibles and the playbook, and the dad not liking the talent they were putting around his son and helping him to get to the NFL. Like there was a lot going on there that I think that it's more than meets the eye than just like kind of an unhappy kid that needed a change of scenery. There was a lot happening there. I think that in the end, though, everybody was better off for them parting ways, as odd as that sounds, given kind of the savior label that he was given when he got here.
I got a generic college football question for you, because you're involved in the recruiting, all of this. How much do parents ruin things for kids?
Pretty good deal. Definitely more than they should. And now it happens in a different way when it comes to not just parents, but handlers and agents. If you get a bad agent or somebody who really doesn't have any experience in what they should be doing and how they should deal with teams and the business that you need to be able to take care of, it can definitely your process in recruiting and on the team, even once you get on the team, can definitely be ruined by the parents. If they, can't, stay out of the way and have main energy syndrome that they should not have.
That is good stuff. He is Greg Smith. Follow him on X at Greg Smith Rivals. He is awesome. And appreciate you coming on, buddy. I appreciate it.
Hey, have a good one, man.
Take care. Greg Smith, national recruiting analyst for Rivals and On3 Sports, joining us on the guest hotline, powered by Gruber Law. One call, that's all. I don't know how I would be or how I would act if I ever had a kid be good enough to go through being recruited by a D1 school at a high level and having one of the top kids in the state or whatever the case may be. When you have NIL agents now involved, you have regular agents involved. In basketball, you've got AAU coaches involved. You have high school coaches involved. Like those are two separate entities completely. In football, you don't have that as much. It's your high school football coach, obviously.
You don't really play AAU football,
right? No,
there
so there's
are AAU teams.
Like you have 7-on-7 leagues, I guess, to a degree. I don't know how much those guys are involved, the coaches of those leagues, but I don't know. I don't know how much I would get involved. I don't know how I would act.
I mean, like as a parent, you kind of have to be more involved, right? Than even before. And you were already probably pretty involved in these types of recruiting situations, but you don't want anybody taking advantage of your kid.
Charlie, but to the degree of Yes, in the beginning of the first year, right? Okay, so the best deal is Wisconsin. Where do you want to go? Here are your 3 best deals. Okay, want to go Wisconsin. Okay, fine. But then to the point of Raiola, where it's I want my kid to do this and I want my kid to do that. I don't think there's any chance, any way that I'm chatting it out with a college coach when my kid is freaking 18, 19 years old. Like, that's the thing. My kid plays 10U baseball right now, and I'm like, he's coaching it. And because if I was a coach, I'd be like, you think you can do it better? You go coach. I'm not saying boo to that guy.
Well, I also
coach how you want to coach,
you're
man.
not
I'm
the
staying out
Rayola
of it.
family who has football players and football coaches
But Charlie,
for generations through that group. Like, that's just a different person and family than what you have.
Charlie, that happens across college,
I know it does.
Regardless if you have bloodlines or not.
I think you find it more likely that a lot of these guys have generations of it being treated like this before NIL was even really a thing,
Yes.
of where these guys were just way too involved. These parents were way too involved than they maybe should have been. But I think that just transitions down. Like, I think that's just a problem with the culture of youth sports in general right now.
I've talked about it before. I know of a parent that was involved dealing with the Bucks front office at one point of a former draft pick being mad about how his kid was being handled and was complaining to their front office about it. Like, dude, your kid's in the NBA. Shut up. Like, what are we doing? At some point, let him figure it out and earn his time and be his thing and do his deal. That type of stuff, I'm sorry. Like, you would think once you get through high school and now you're on college, okay, I get with all the money, you have to be involved somehow, making sure they have a good lawyer or whatever, all that, fine. But as far as like getting interacting with coaches and trying to dictate play for your kid and all that stuff, dude, save me on that. Like, I have absolutely no interest in ever doing that. Hey, the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network, we're proudly outfitted by Burghardt Sporting Goods, our official apparel partner. Outfit your team or company with custom apparel today at BSG1881.com. That's BSG1881.com. And if you ever go to Burghardt's, more than likely you will see me from time to time because I'm there like 2 or 3 days a week with my kid in the batting cages practicing at least 2 to 3 days a week.
So go say hi.
Yeah. You come up to me and say, "What's up, Sparky?" Hey, we'll talk. We can
Yell
talk
at him a little bit
while he's in the cages. I don't talk to my kid in the cages anymore.
At all.
Nope. I'm done. I don't talk to him at the games when I'm sitting behind the cage anymore. I rarely say anything. I may say his name. Other than that, I've pretty much
probably works out
done.
You're
I'm done because he just gets mad and gets all mad at me. I'm like, I'm done. So his mother has taken over and she's done a great job because she played high school. She played into high school too for baseball.
It takes a good coach to know when to step back, Sparky.
Yeah.
There you go.
I used to yell at my dad all the time when I was growing up when he was trying to help me do stuff. So I get it. I'm just like, I'm not doing this because every time I do it, you get mad and then it goes sideways. So I'm just done. I'll come, I'll watch, I'll cheer, but I'm done being involved in this. So call me a quitter. I don't care. Charlie Sounds of the Day is coming up next. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here. 3:44 on Wednesday, June 17th. Giannis still a buck. Still a buck if you are looking to get your update on that. That is the current situation for Giannis. Also, currently, the Potawatomi Sportsbook is open for business. Still in yet. Potawatomi Sportsbook Kitchen is amazing. And they got the Potawatomi Sportsbook Kitchen, all kinds of cool stuff to have over there. All-day brunch with steak and eggs, steak and bagel sandwich, pancakes, and more. Got chicken wings, chicken tenders, build your own burger, a full menu of all kinds of different foods, wraps, all kinds of stuff. Homemade desserts and pastries every day at the Potawatomi Casino Hotel in Milwaukee. 2,000 square foot center screen, 2 levels at the Potawatomi Sportsbook. I always say, because they're always really busy, reserve your seat ahead of time. There's a nominal fee, but it's worth it. Trust me. It goes towards your food and beverage cost. So if the nominal fee is, I don't know what it is, let's say it's $50, then your food and beverage bill, $50 goes towards whatever the total is for the night, goes towards paying that. So it's not like you're out $50. It doesn't go towards what you're going to eat and drink for the night anyhow. Go to Potawatomi.com for more information on that. Again, Potawatomi.com. Must be 21 to enter the casino. Bet above the rest. And, of course, there's shuttles to and from Brewers home games, leaving at the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Take advantage of that, too.
What sound clips will Chicago Charlie pick today for Sparky? Will Sparky become enraged? Will laughter ensue? It's time for Charlie's Sound of the Day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
You want to know something?
What's that?
Dillard is just having too much fun right now. He really is. You know what he just sent me?
What's that?
Send me a video.
So our guy at third base.
Ball making a backhand on a foul off, picking it up. Man.
He's going to send you those for the rest of the season.
He's looking good. He got backhand right there. I said, backhand, exclamation points. I'm like, he's ready, exclamation
Tommy
points.
just restrained himself
Let's
so
go.
hard from grabbing the microphone.
No, he's in. He wants him. He wants Vaughn at third, too.
He's still restraining himself from
I'm
talking.
telling you, we're ready to go. I put Vaughn at third base. Mizorowski starting Friday. So if he has an error too, no big deal. Mizorowski ain't giving up runs. Let him go play third on Friday in this game against the Braves and see what happens. But it's not going to happen. You pinch hit Sal Frelick for him. So really, how much faith do you really have in Andrew Vaughn as a manager of this team? Okay. Sounds of the day. What do we got?
So I've been pretty basketball heavy over the past couple of days due to the NBA championship happening over the weekend. So I'm going to be pretty baseball heavy today is my plan.
Hold on a second.
What's that?
I got to find something real quick here. You have no basketball here, right? This is not basketball.
This is all baseball.
Oh man, I hope I saved it. So remember how I kept saying that like every day the NBA keeps sending out these press releases to the media members. Oh, it's the most viewed game in 20 years, most viewed game in 10 years, right? And these millions of people and all of that are watching. Man, I saw a stat that came across on X, and I hope I saved it, but it was something like this last game or whatever, they had like 9 people viewing at one time or whatever the case was. They went all the way back to like the Bulls Jazz finals, right? Mm-hmm. And at one point there was 28 million people viewing that game. And the NBA sent out a thing celebrating 9 million people watching the game. And that back then you didn't have streaming apps and all this other stuff. Back then you had people literally with TVs on watching the stupid game. I got to see if I can find it. I
think it makes it so much easier to track how many people are watching your game too. If they're all going to one spot to watch that game, now you have to celebrate 9 million because you don't know how 18 million other people are watching your game. That's crazy.
Well, you still have the estimates for TV or whatever, but yes.
I mean, there's other ways people are watching games that you don't have the same ability to keep track of like you do the TV numbers.
Correct. No, you're right. Okay, I can't find it. Go ahead. If I find it, I'll let you know.
All right. So first up here, we're going to head on over to the College Baseball World Series where Troy head coach Tyler Meade was discussing the struggles of scheduling as a mid-major team in a sport where usually the mid-major teams have a little bit higher chance of success.
Let's just use Mercer, okay? Let's just use Mercer. Like Mercer could have done a run, okay? And I don't know what happened. Like, people are going to criticize or be critical of their schedule. Like, it's not always like, oh, they didn't schedule. Like, people can say no. Okay. Like, that's how it works. I made reference to this and please, if someone misconstrues my words, but like when I got to Troy, I'll never forget Jay Johnson called me. I never talked to Jay Johnson. He's like, hey man, we got to flip something on the schedule. We were supposed to go there in 23. He's like, you guys can be really good. We got this. I walked into the schedule, whatever. And I'm like, okay. And so we pivoted and we found USC Upstate, who ended up being a really good program. And it was a great weekend for us. But we had LSU on the schedule, right? And that's not a diss on Coach Johnson. He walked into a schedule too. We came in the same time. So things happen that people don't know. Do I think that if you schedule, quote, cupcake or not well, could it be problematic? Of course.
This is the thing. And I'm not even talking about a mid-major. I'll just talk about Brett Bielema, who's at Wisconsin. Not Mercer, Wisconsin. And when him and I's relationship ended was when he and I were screaming at each other on the radio years ago. And to this day, you can ask Leroy Butler. He was sitting right next to me with his head buried in his arms on the table on the counter when me and him were yelling at each other on the radio. I didn't start it. He started it. But he had heard through the grapevine, through whoever, that I was going at him for his cupcake non-conference schedule. It looked like Matt Rule's non-conference. Even worse is what their non-conference was. I was like, this is an absolute joke. Like, what are we doing? We're just taking money from people. What is the point of all of this? And you go through all this. Now, listen, for a mid-major school, and I can say basketball, if you're Green Bay and you're Doug Gottlieb, yeah, I'm going to go play this game for $200,000. Hell yes. Yeah, we may get killed, but we can see where our team is, what the other team looks like that's so much better than us, what we have to work on, good learning experience, but more importantly for our department and our school is the money. So that's why you schedule it.
And you might win. And if you win, you get money and notoriety. Yes. That's a pretty good deal.
In huge publicity if you pull it off, right? Like Appalachian State when they upset Michigan in football. That was a gigantic story that they pulled that off. So, yeah, you have that as well. What happens, though, is depending on the sport that you're in, now it's like, well, they're a really good mid-major. We don't want to deal with that, right? Because we're not good enough to guarantee that we're going to win. For instance, North Dakota State's been good for a minute, right? Mm-hmm. They got Nebraska. Do you think they can beat Nebraska?
Maybe.
Yeah, I do. I think probably. It's a possibility.
I think so.
If they had Wisconsin, would you be concerned?
Yeah, probably a little bit.
Right? So I'd rather play, I don't know, Vanderbilt than have to go deal with that and potentially get upset. That's the problem the mid-majors have is like, hey, we'll come play, we're up. And some of these schools are like, yeah, we're not. We don't want to
potentially risk that. Yeah, right? In the spot we're in right now.
If we're going to pay a lot of money, I want a bad team that I know I can beat.
Especially if you're a team like Wisconsin in the middle of things that you need those wins because your conference schedule is too tough.
And you have to win a bowl. You have to get to a bowl game. Yeah. Otherwise, your coach is out of a job. Yeah, I mean, so I feel bad for mid-majors like Gottlieb, like Lundy at Milwaukee. These guys, it's tough, man. It is.
All right, next up here, we're going to hear from Blue Jays starting pitcher Max Scherzer, and he was discussing how he wants a pitch minimum.
I would love to see some type of pitch minimum brought into the game, so that way the starter has to go out there and throw, 100 pitches. Something that I hate seeing within the game. I get why it's going on, but I would love to see things to try to empower the starting pitcher, try to get starting pitchers back to throwing, trying to get to 7 innings, 105 pitches, and have that kind of be a standard throughout the game. If you're giving up, let's say 2-3 runs and you're at 90 pitches. No, you got to continue to pitch. You got to keep going back out there.
This was 1975. Sure. 1980. Okay. But I mean, realistically, in today's world and society, you'd kill these guys because they're not babied at the youth levels. They're overpitched at the youth levels, I would say. But by the time you get up to this level, to college level and pro level, because of how advanced science is and everything else, they're monitoring everything. They're monitoring the stretching programs. They're monitoring eating and sleeping and what you're doing on your off days and how you're taking care of your shoulder and your elbow and your arm. And in no world is it suggested by anybody that, you should throw 100 pitches every 5 days and your arm will be just fine for it. Like, there's just no chance. Nobody will ever agree to that. Would I like to see starting pitchers pitch longer into games and more complete games happen around Major League Baseball? Hell yes. I think every fan would be excited to see more of that happen. But
I think it's starting to get to that point too. You're starting to see guys throw deeper into these games again with the velocity. It's kind of cool. Like, it's happening.
But you have to have good pitch counts. Once you get to 90, baseball teams are like, okay, that's good. We're out. Out you go. We're not doing that anymore. Coming up next, Green and Gold Update. Ben Solek of ESPN has a hell of an idea. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the
Some shows talk about one team. Other shows barely talk sports. This show will talk Packers, Brewers, and Bucks. Every day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily with Steve Sparky Pfeiffer on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
We are live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Steve Sparky Pfeiffer. Charlie Usen producing today's show. Leadoff show. The big old hunk of love. Tommy Wirtz comes up at 5 o'clock, taking you up to 6:30. Brewers, Guardians, Game 2. Brewers get the win last night and now see if they can win this series before even getting to Game 3 of the series tomorrow. Speaking of tomorrow, this show will be out at Summerfest each Thursday and Friday of Summerfest. We are right with the Hole in One brought to you by X Golf. So come on out, say hi. We're kind of like kitty corner to the Hole in One. You'll see us. White tent. You'll see us right there. We're like at the intersection of like two walkways. So come on out, say hi. We'll have some free T-shirts to give away as well while supplies last. So I'll be out there starting at 2 o'clock tomorrow. And then Tim Allen and Tommy Wirtz, your chance to come out, get autographs, get your picture taken, all that fun stuff with Tim and Tommy. They'll be doing the Potawatomi Sportsbook post-game show tomorrow when the game's over until 6 o'clock. So looking forward to seeing everybody. But again, we're out there Thursday and Friday each and every Thursday and Friday throughout Summerfest. So for the next 3 weekends, we're out there each day. And we're going to also throw in some other shows from time to time. Tommy has a leadoff show out there. We have some post-game shows out there. We have a Sunday afternoon post-game show out there. So you just listen to Tim and Tommy, and they'll keep you in the loop as far as when they'll be out there. Again, Hole in One, brought to you by X Golf. Now, last year, the grand prize was what was it, a truck, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Grand prize this year for the first one, not everyone, the first one that makes a hole in one, $5,000 for the first one that makes the hole in one, brought to you by X Golf. And it's like, I'd say it's an island hole, right? It's out there in Lake Michigan type deal. And right. Yeah. And you're swinging at it and trying to get a hole in one. So can't wait to see everybody out there. Looking forward to that. Tommy Wirtz out there doing a bunch of days at Summerfest. Are you excited? Summerfest? I don't hear you. Hold on.
I'm so excited. I just downloaded my Summerfest app. I redeemed my tickets. I have my parking pass ready to go. Cannot wait. And we're going to be there a couple of weekends too, like that.
Yeah.
So
Are you,
what's that?
Are you a big music concert going guy? I think I've ever asked you.
I want to be bigger. It's just too expensive most of the time. And I don't really know why I would go. That's why Summerfest is such a great option, because there's a lot of different vouchers and promotions that they do to get out, and you get to go hang out on the lake, listen to some live music, and there's a lot of great free stage people that come all the time too. If you're a country music fan on top of it, like, I don't know why you're not going to Summerfest. I mean, they just love country music there now.
Last night, I wish I could have went. My cousin came in from Minnesota last night. Garth Brooks playing. Man, that would have been a fun show to go to.
Are you a Garth Brooks guy?
Oh, I love Garth Brooks. Yeah. I mean, really? I can't say that I listen to a lot of Garth Brooks now, but like, when he was going crazy in the 90s and stuff. Oh, yeah. I don't even know where it is. I may have lost it, but I used to have like greatest hits of Garth Brooks, like a 6 CD set or whatever. Yeah, I love Garth.
I think I only know like one song by him.
You only know one song by him?
What's the Low Places?
Yeah.
That's him, right?
Yeah, that's
the only one I know.
Really?
Yeah.
I think you know more than that.
Probably.
You just don't know the names.
I say that all the time.
Them.
It's always like I hear a song.
Look at the catalog real quick here.
Yeah, I know. Garth's got a lot of good stuff out there. But either way, so I'm sure it was a fun time. Friends in Low Places. That's the one he knows.
That's the one he said.
Yeah. That's the one he knows.
Yeah, actually, I don't think you're going to know any more of these other ones.
That's fine. We don't need to talk anymore about Garth. He's not at Summerfest. All right, let's get to 4 o'clock. Here we go.
It's time for your green and gold update on Wisconsin Sports Daily, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network with Steve Sparky Pfeiffer.
All right, green and gold update. This here is something else. I got to tell you. What we're going to talk about here. When I clicked, we had already done our pre-show meeting. The pre-show meeting was done. Charlie was working on putting the show together, pulling sound for the show, typing up the rundown, all that stuff was all ready to go. And I'm sitting there, I'm eating my lunch, and I was like, okay, well, I'm just going to sit here and eat and peruse the internet while I do so, and then, see what I come across or whatever else. So we wanted to talk about Sorsby. And Brent Sorsby, we talked about yesterday, right? Nailed for gambling, all that stuff. Went to rehab, went to a judge. Judge said, yeah, you can go play at Texas Tech. Go ahead, go do your thing after playing at Cincinnati. And then everybody was like, we're not scheduling them for anything. We're not going to schedule rowboat races against them or anything else. We're done with them. Big fiasco. So then he's like, to heck with this. I'm not going to do this. I'm out, even though he spent all that money, or his parents did, or maybe Texas Tech did. I don't know. Somebody spent all that money on lawyers for nothing, because then he decided, well, I'm going to go do the supplemental draft for the NFL instead. So Ben Solak wrote a piece talking about Sorsby. And the question was, can Brendan Sorsby start for an NFL team? And in this, he writes, it's a very good piece. He writes strengths and weaknesses. And like I said yesterday when we talked about this, I said he's got every trait you want to be a good starting quarterback. Like everything. He can run. He's got a strong arm. He can do everything you want a quarterback to do. So if this was a regular draft, like say next year, he'd be probably a day 1, day 2 guy.
Day
right?
2 guy is what they've been saying. Day 1 probably this year, but day 2 next year.
Right. So second round, something like that. So anyways, so he goes through all of this and does that. Then we get to a section in this piece that says which teams are his best fits. I swear to you, on a stack of Bibles or whatever you want to put my hand on, I did not think I would see the Green Bay Packers on this list. I didn't think I'd see them. On Solak's list, number 5, the Atlanta Falcons. Now, mind you, they have Michael Penix Jr. coming off injury, and they just got Tua from Miami. And he's saying, go get this cat. And his point is, could one of Tua or Penix win the job for 27? Sure, but it's unlikely. By drafting Sorsby, the Falcons could give themselves an early look at a developmental challenger for that 2027 gig. And you got Stefanski there, who knows offense and can work with quarterbacks. Okay, so I kind of see that maybe for Atlanta. That makes sense. Number 4, the Indianapolis Colts. That definitely makes sense. Because that's a train wreck injury, right now, right? Yeah. Daniel Jones injury. They're done with Anthony Richardson. Nobody believes in Riley Leonard. Like, okay, fine. 4 makes sense. I would have thought the Colts may have been 1 on this list. Number 3, the Minnesota Vikings. Again, we got a quarterback battle, which through the first minicamp, Kyler Murray sucked. So we'll see how this goes. Long ways to go. But Kyler Murray versus J.J. McCarthy. If one or both don't play well this year, then maybe Sorsby would have a chance in 27. But if you do this, pretty sure you're going to have to carry 3 quarterbacks, because I don't think you're going to sneak them through to the practice squad if you try. See, that's the thing. He's good enough to where I don't think you can sneak him through to a practice squad if you decide at the end of training camp it's not going to work.
Well, and I think all the teams that we've named so far, at least, all have pretty major quarterback injury problems throughout the past couple of years. So it would make sense for all 3 of those teams to want to carry 3 quarterbacks potentially.
Now, the second team on the list, the Carolina Panthers. Behind Bryce Young, they have Kenny Pickett, Will Grier, and Haynes King. Absolutely. Absolutely. He potentially could win the number 2 job, and they could be done with the vet Kenny Pickett. And there is your guy as your number 2 guy going forward, because I think they're all in on Bryce Young. Yeah. But you could develop him over a couple of years and then essentially kind of trade him like the Packers did with Malik Willis.
You could. I don't know. Like, that feels like, if I'm the Panthers, based on what some of these other teams need, what some of these other teams have in their quarterback rooms right now, that they'd be willing to give up a higher pick. I don't think if I'm the Panthers, I'm giving up higher than a 4th-round pick for this in this supplemental draft.
So here we are. Number 1 on this list by Ben Solak of ESPN. Ben Solak, who's been on this show. The Green Bay Packers for the gambler.
Interesting.
Said yesterday, this does not fit the Packer way in any way, shape, or form. I don't know how you sell to the fan base. The gambler is coming here, and we're okay with it. Like, I just think this is a hard sell for whoever it may be. Now, Solak did a video talking about this as well from like his backyard or something. And his point was, hey, man, there's going to be a lot of heat in year 1, whoever takes this guy, right? So he's not going to start. He's going to be in the background, and you're going to work on getting him better on some of the weaknesses that he has. Then in 27, you want him to potentially compete for a job in 27. And then maybe in 28, he actually gets a starting job wherever he may be. The Packers are number one. Let me read to you what Ben Solak said. And that Sorsby reminds me of Malik Willis. I'm unsurprisingly interested in his potential with LaFleur in Green Bay. The Packers' current QB2 is Tyrod Taylor, whom they signed after the 26th draft. I'd wager they'd wanted to snag a quarterback in that draft, but the board never fell their way. The QB3 is Kyle McCord, who doesn't at all fit the mold of a Packers backup quarterback. They're typically prioritized athletes such as Willis and Taylor at that spot. Sorsby would likely beat out McCord for QB3 and be first in line for QB2 after Taylor's one-year deal expires in 27. Again, we're carrying 3, that means, at that point.
Well, and he says that they prioritize athleticism for 2 years, 2 seasons. That's it. Before that, it was guys that could fit into the prototype of what the starting quarterback was, and then you can drive the offense continuously when that starter comes out of the game. Like, that's a more recent development. I don't think you can just use that as a reasoning for why you think he's going to be there. And I think the signing of Tyrod Taylor, well, he used to be a more athletic quarterback, isn't that anymore. I think he fits more of what Jordan Love does. And the way they've set this wide receiver room with the contracts that they've given out, all of these other things that they've done this offseason that have been smaller changes to what we expect this offense to run, I don't think he fits as well into what Matt LaFleur needs to start doing as the offensive coordinator and head coach of this team. I think if you bring that in, you want that to be your backup quarterback, what that's going to do is cause the same kind of issues I think you saw last year with the rest of the team. Even though the quarterback played well in a new system that you start with Malik Willis when he comes into these games, the rest of the team then gets a little whiplash because they're going back and forth from different systems. You're playing a Jordan Love offense and playing a Malik Willis offense. That throws you off a little bit, especially if you're a young offensive line, a young wide receiver room. I think you do the same thing with this. Tyrod Taylor gets you more into a comfortable groove.
But he runs
if
too.
He has to come in. Yes, he does, but not at the same rate and the same pace that those guys do.
This dude can flat out run, right? I think there's 4 or 5 guys that put down the time he put down on the field. I think he ran 20.5 miles per hour, something like that. Probably can go back in the article and find it, but either way. So he can run. Now, I disagree with part of what Charlie said. I agree that it's more difficult on the offense, everybody, offensive line, wide receivers, tight ends, playing with a completely different style quarterback than what you have as a starting quarterback. And regardless of what Matt LaFleur says, that system changed when Malik Willis was on the field. He did things with him that he wasn't doing with Jordan Love. And consistently it changed. It wasn't ever, oh, now it's year 2, so now he's okay. No, he consistently changed it. If I'm Goody, I want to continue to do what they did there. I would love to have another athlete like Malik Willis, who's got a cannon for an arm that can throw all the routes, that we can mold and develop behind Jordan Love to give it that type of deal. Why? Because you're not game planning for it all week. If Jordan Love goes down in a game, you haven't been game planning for this other offense. So now when that guy comes in and you go to B offense, good luck trying to defend it because you haven't prepped for it all week. And now the next week, if Jordan Love's, we don't know. Now we're having a game plan for 2 different offenses on defense because we don't know if Love is playing or not. And if he's not playing, then we got to figure this out. Where if it's a similar type quarterback to Jordan Love and the offense doesn't change, no big deal. Next guy comes in, he's not as good as Love. We're fine. They're not going to change anything on offense. But if you dramatically shift like they did with Malik Willis, I think that's advantage Packers.
Maybe, but that's planning for Jordan Love to be injured, which I don't think you want to continue to do moving forward.
You have to. He hasn't been healthy.
I get what you're saying, but I think teams with good quarterbacks, star quarterbacks that they trust in, they also trust in their offense to be run continuously by a head coach and an offensive coordinator that's ready to run that offense.
Which they have in LaFleur.
Well, and I think that what we've seen over the past few years says that he's not as confident in that offense when those players, that specific offense, isn't on the field for him. And I think at some point here, you have to start getting into this confident range if you want to be a championship team. And that's trusting Jordan Love and Jordan Love's offense, which I think he started doing last year. But again, you flip back to the Malik Willis offense. You can't do that anymore. You have to start trusting that you as a coach can continue to coach this team through your offense that you want to run because you're a good head coach and a good offensive coordinator. And you have a team out there that's ready to run your offense and keep doing that.
Do you forget everything we talk about on this show? I think your memory is going faster than my memory is going. Like, we literally discussed this throughout at the end of last year because we knew that Malik Willis was not coming back to the Green Bay Packers. We knew Malik Willis was going to go be somewhere in free agency, right? So we knew that. We also knew that Matt LaFleur's job was potentially maybe in jeopardy before policy came out and talked. But at that point, we didn't know. And we talked about, dude, Matt LaFleur is going to be a genius in this Malik Willis thing no matter what.
That's personally for Matt LaFleur. I'm saying for this team, if you want to continue to be and go on the upward trajectory, that's a selfish Matt LaFleur thing. Yes, he can want whatever quarterback he is and hopes that guy does well or does bad. But like for the team, you can't have that.
But see, that's the thing though. For the team, they won the games when Malik Willis played. Period. So that formula worked because they won. Now, if the formula was they were, 1-6 in games Malik Willis played, Malik Willis ran for 75 yards each game and he was okay, but they were losing games and they couldn't figure out how to win with Malik Willis, the quarterback, then I think the argument can be that's not going to work. Like, it was fun. It was a nice experiment. We tried. It failed. It didn't work. But because they were continuously successful with that dude and that style, now again, just because you can run doesn't mean you can play quarterback like Malik Willis, right? So if they went the Sorsby route, which I can't imagine, but if they went the Sorsby route and then he got in there and he failed, he can run, but he's throwing picks and it's a disaster and you don't have another solid option, at that point, Green Bay would be like, okay, it worked for him. It didn't work for him. I would like the same style quarterback. I want a veteran. I know more of this changing schemes. Goody then steps in and stops it. But what if Sorsby goes out there, plays well, runs around, fan base, we want Sorsby over Love. The same people that wanted Malik Willis, and then they trade Sorsby for a future first-round pick or something. You know what's going to happen on the third backup quarterback? It's going to be the same thing.
You just better not hope that when Jordan Love comes back after Brendan Sorsby goes out there and plays at the offense and the team starts losing games again. Like that's my problem is that's what happened afterwards. I get it. Malik Willis was successful in the Packers uniform, but when he was back off the field and Jordan Love's back on the field, you don't get the same exciting kind of offense that you were expecting. So
you're worried about hurting Love.
Jordan Love is the guy that you paid all this money to. Yes. He is one of the highest paid quarterbacks in the league. You have to worry about hurting Love, and you have to worry about hurting the offense that's built around Jordan Love.
The question is this: would you want the Packers to take Brendan Sorsby? And if so, what's the highest you'd be willing to use a pick in the supplemental draft? Now, for those of you that don't know how this works, the supplemental draft, I think, is going to be Tuesday, right? No, Monday, the 22nd. This is how this works. They go down the order, and it gets the Packers first round. Do you want them? No. Okay. Nobody takes them in the first round, okay? Second round, and they go through the teams again. And the first team that takes him gets him. That's simple. But wherever you take them is the pick you lose in the next draft. So if the Packers take Sorsby in the second round of the supplemental draft, they will not have a second round pick next year. They already don't have a 1. So then they would be without a 1 and a 2 next year, but they potentially could have a young backup quarterback they could develop and eventually trade for a 1 or whatever they want to do. So that's the question. Would you want them, even with all the gambling exploits and everything else? And B, if the answer is yes, where would you be willing to pick them in the supplemental draft? Ben Solak thinks that's the perfect fit for him and Tyrod Taylor. And then if he replaces Tyrod Taylor as the backup to Jordan Love after this upcoming season. What say you? Nicolay Law Talking text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250 on the socials at WI Sports Radio, streaming live on Instagram Live, on X, on YouTube. Register, subscribe, like, all that fun stuff. Not register, just subscribe and like. That's fine. Fan Milwaukee Facebook page as well, streaming live there. And of course, you can always listen to us at WI Sports Radio, streaming of the show there, not video, just audio. Find all of our podcasts there, or wherever you download your favorite podcast. That's just search Wisconsin Sports Daily. Search Wisconsin Sports Daily. Let's go to Ram, north side of Milwaukee. You're next. What's going on, Ram?
Hey, what's going on, Sparky?
How are you?
Great. And Baseball Charlie. That's the new name. We're gonna call him Baseball Charlie. He's a baseball guy. Hey, I would say, yeah, maybe go get him second round. But your narrative that you gave about the whole Malik Willis, I know we don't like bringing that back up, but when he would play, you know what I used to do, Sparky and Charlie? I would go read the comments of the fan base.
Yep.
People and they were overwhelmingly loving Willis, but I never understood why they jumped the gun and paid Love like that. They should have had a quarterback tryout.
Do you not remember how good he was in the second half of that year? Do you not remember him going down to Dallas and thrashing that defense?
I remember that, but that was a flash in the pan. I'm just saying,
man. If you we talked about this. I mean, if you look from a stats perspective, pick a category. He was the 7th best quarterback in the NFL last year.
But now we talking about consistency.
Okay.
And we look at the Chicago Bears. We lost to them twice.
Yeah.
Almost in the same fashion. Yeah. We couldn't put points up, Sparky. I understand. Maybe I can say some of the things that I would want you to say to jeopardize something, but from a fan's perspective, if you just say, go look at Malik Willis' numbers at Liberty College before he transferred. He was he was up there. He was one of them dudes like that. So maybe this Sophie guy, he might be like that. He might be like a Brett Favre guy. Guy that just risk it all, something like that. Yeah, he got caught with the gambling stuff, but I don't think that's a reason to throw him up under the bus either.
All right, very good. Thanks for the call. I appreciate it. Listen, he's not the only one, right? Not the only one at all that thinks that maybe they paid Jordan Love too early. There was definitely a lot of people that were clamoring for Malik Willis. Talking about Brendan Sorsby right now. Ben Solek says Packers would be a perfect fit. Asking you if you want him. Well, first of all, do you want him? And if you do, where do you take him? Nicolay Law, talk a text line 414-677-1250 from the 414. What kind of dollar figure is associated with a supplemental draft pick? If it was to happen, say, the second round, I say go get them if the money is right. I will tell you that I did not know the answer to that one way or the other. So I looked it up. Standard 4-year rookie contract that are structurally identical to those in the annual spring draft. So depending on the round that you pick him, the contract would be similar to that slot in the NFL draft at that same position in that same round. Does that make sense, Charlie?
Yep. So, for example, if the Philadelphia Eagles retain the 22nd spot in the second round for the supplemental draft and selected Sorsby, he would receive a 4-year, $8.8 million contract like Eli Stowers, who was drafted in that spot this year.
That's not bad. That's $2 million a year, right? So that's the number that we would be talking about if we went, say, and the Packers took him in the second round. I can't imagine $2 million a year would break anybody up if it didn't work out. From the 414, I wouldn't touch him with a 10-foot pole, talking about Brendan Sorsby. From the 262, no. I think we need a veteran backup unless there is a concern that Love might not be, quote, the guy after this current contract. Nah. I don't think there's any concern in that front office about him not being the guy at this point. Now, if Jordan Love goes out this year and throws, 15 to 20 interceptions, okay, you're going to have that conversation. But if Jordan Love goes out there and plays like he did last year, there's no conversation about him not being the guy at this point. Top 10 quarterback in the league. Getting paid like he's a top 10 quarterback in the league. Like, everything matches up. Johnny, north side of Milwaukee, you're next on Wisconsin Sports Daily. What's up, Johnny?
What's going on? How you doing, Judge Park?
Doing good, man. How's life?
It's life, and it's always life.
Yeah, it's life.
Now, what's this question here?
So Ben Solak of ESPN has the Packers listed as the number one fit from Brendan Sorsby, who was the quarterback that was gambling on games and every other thing he could gamble on possibly when he was at Cincinnati for the last couple of years as quarterback. He then went into the portal to go to Texas Tech, got nailed for all of this, and then obviously he wasn't going to play and be suspended. He got a lawyer, went to court. The court said for the mental health and so forth of the player, he needs to play. So they allowed him to come back and play this upcoming year, at which point schools around the country, especially the Big Ten and other schools there in the Big 12, started saying, we're not playing Texas Tech in any sport, football or any other sport that we compete in. We're just not going to put them on our schedule anymore. So then there was damage control being done by everybody at Texas Tech. Then comes word a couple days ago from Sorsby, after he or the school spent all this money on lawyers, that, you know what, we've mutually decided that I'm not going to play college football and I'm going to go into the supplemental draft for the NFL instead. So the question is, would you want the Packers to take him? And if so, what's the highest pick in the supplemental draft that you would use?
Oh, okay. I would take him. I would take him. But it would definitely have to be a low. It seems like it's going to be a low risk, high reward, or a low risk, no reward.
Right.
I'll take either of them. I'm not willing to do too much on that.
Like a day 3 pick, Johnny, like a 5th or 6th round pick or something.
Yep. Nothing like I was just listening to you. You said the pay got to be close to that of what he would have been. Nah, nope. Day 3, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, something like that. All day. It's a low risk. Get a kid behind him. At that Tyrod Taylor we got now, or whatever. Yep. And who knows? You may find a diamond in the rough. I don't believe any of that matters anymore now. It's NFL now. We all forgave. Well, it's always what have you done for me lately. You can't take away any of the college stats or whatever, or the college life or whatever happened in college once you make it to the NFL. People always remember that, but he paved out a nice career for himself, and they'll forget it. That'll be brought up, but they also say, he's getting the Bears into the playoffs, wherever he ends up or whatever. So it's a low risk, high reward type of situation. Yeah, I don't see any downside in if he's there at the right price all day. Yeah.
All right, sounds good.
Nothing over the top.
Johnny,
Johnny,
thanks for the call. Appreciate it. Charlie, where are you at on this?
I think I'm no. I don't really think I want the Packers to be involved in this. I said this yesterday. Again, I think Brendan Sorsby probably needs continued help with something like this, and I think going in and giving him this opportunity is no better than what Texas Tech did. I think you're, again, enabling his behavior, enabling all of this, what's happened and gone on with Brendan Sorsby. He's been let off the hook a lot now over this whole entire process. Texas Tech has gotten a lot of heat. A lot of people outside of Brendan Sorsby have gotten a lot of heat, and it hasn't been Brendan Sorsby. And I think you're just continuing that if you allow this. I think some team's going to draft him and give him that opportunity because a lot of teams don't have the same kind of standards that the Packers, I think, have in my mind.
He's Charlie using C Sparky Fiver with you. I also would say I would not do it. The distraction that's going to come with this and everything else. And then if he does lapse and now he's gambling on your games and the NFL and all of that, now you really got yourself in a mess. Like I don't think I would touch it. But if I was a team that's in desperate need of a quarterback and all of that, I'd probably gamble. And if I was one of those teams, I'd probably gamble 4th round. I don't think, regardless of what my quarterback situation is, I would not gamble a 1st round pick. And I would not gamble a 2nd round or a 3rd round pick on day 2. 4th round pick to start round 3. Okay. I'd gamble that. The pay's not bad, pretty inexpensive. If it doesn't work out and he's, veering off in training camp and you're concerned, you can cut and move on. Not the end of the world. So, yeah, I would probably do a day 3 pick, like the 4th round, if I was in desperate need of a quarterback. But when you have Jordan Love, nah.
I can't think of one contender right now that's in desperate need of a quarterback.
No. So it's going to have to be one of these other teams, that are a mess currently. Coming up next, we'll switch gears back to the Milwaukee Bucks. Chris Haynes was on a podcast, the longtime NBA insider, of course, is related to Giannis's wife, and had some interesting things to say about the potential of this deal with Giannis, a potential trade getting done before Tuesday when the NBA draft happens. And don't forget, Pro Hoops Draft Show coming up Tuesday night, 6 to 9, with Brandon Snide and former NBA and Badger Center Brian Butch, 6 to 9 here on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network coming up on Tuesday night. Don't want to miss that. But we'll play Chris Haynes' comments, and then we got to figure out if what he's saying is potentially going to happen, if it's a good thing or if it's a bad thing, because I don't feel like it's probably a good thing, but we'll talk about it coming up next. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here. Don't you think that for a long time you could say this song was about Bucks fans feeling for Giannis?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think this definitely would play into that. I would say at this point, not anymore.
No, well, maybe some people still. Some people probably still love him.
Yeah, maybe Josh on Inside
Yeah.
Wisconsin Sports. He probably still has his man crush on Giannis, which is fine. Listen, regardless of how this plays out, but the man should be cheered when he comes back. They should put a statue up for him, retire his jersey, like all that stuff. One of the most popular things I keep hearing is, it's just like Rodgers and Favre. I don't know. It's not the same thing. It's just not. Like, Favre was like, screw the Packers. I'm going to go play somewhere and screw it to them, da-da-da-da-da. Rodgers just grew tired. I think the organization just grew tired of the Pat McAfee show stuff and everything. There's just so much drama. It's just, there's so much drama. They just got tired and were like, okay, we're done. That was it. I don't think it was really bitter. Rodgers really hasn't taken any shots since then, and
he's only texting
love and helping love and whatever he can do. So that ended completely different. This is just completely something else different, where he's not really saying what apparently they're allegedly is going on behind the scenes. So you don't really know what is true and what's not, and it's just been going on too long. Okay, so Chris Haynes, NBA insider, was on Deals and Dunks on Sirius XM radio talking about the Giannis potential trade timeline. If he's going to get traded here, when it's going to go down. Everybody has been assuming this entire time that it's going to happen by Tuesday night when the draft is. This is what Chris Haynes said.
Yeah, so that is a good point by Eric that you mentioned here. Like, the only reason we are talking about this quote-unquote official deadline is because the owner came out and mentioned the draft as it pertains to Giannis. That, from what I'm hearing, this can drag on into free agency. This can drag on until July. So the Bucks are not operating as if that is the quote-unquote deadline.
Right.
With that being said, Zach, there isn't anything official yet on Giannis as far as teams that are really in play that have made some momentum. Boston seems a little bit, from what I'm hearing, engaging. Boston doesn't seem as a promising destination as we thought. I think there's interest, but there's not a clear sign as of right now that that is their number one objective, if that makes any sense. Not to say that they've pulled out, not to say that they won't try anything when July hits, but I have no clear-cut signs that they are dead set on him as of right now. And so with that, if that is to be the case, Zach, we're back to square one as far as all the speculation goes and what's going to happen. I still do ultimately believe he will be moved this offseason, but I'm not as certain as I was before that it would be done before the draft.
It's never going to end, is it? Just never, ever, ever going to end. It's just going to drag this out. Season starts middle of October. What are the odds he's still on this team September 1st?
I don't know. Every day it keeps getting higher for me. Like, I was talking about this with Tommy earlier, Tommy Wirtz. Like, this feels like he's going to be on the team next season. Like,
I didn't say he's going to be on the team next season. I don't know. I said September 1st.
To me, I think it's starting to get creep towards that. And now I still think he's probably going to end up getting traded. But again, every day that percentage goes up a little higher for me that he's going to be a Buck in 2026 moving forward here. And that's kind of crazy because 3 weeks ago, when everybody was saying, oh, it's happening, like it's going to happen before the draft here at some point, I had no inkling of that. And now it just feels like it keeps going. I don't know if it's because the Bucks and Giannis maybe have something going here, and that's the conversation that we're not hearing behind the scenes, or that the Bucks just don't like any of these offers and they want to drag this on as long as possible. Either way, this is not going the way I expected it to.
Do you view this as a good thing or a bad thing for this Bucks organization if this Giannis trade doesn't happen by the time the NBA draft is all done next week? Do you view it as a good thing or a bad thing? If the draft's done, the Bucks have 10, that's it, because they don't have a second-round pick. They don't do anything with Giannis. They don't get any extra picks in this draft. They don't get any extra draft picks in the lottery. And this comes and goes, and all they end up with is pick number 10. And Giannis is still on this team after 2 days of the NBA draft. Is that a good thing or a bad thing in your mind? Nikolai Lautaka text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250 on the socials at WI Sports Radio. I saw a report earlier today from Mark Stein. Mark Stein says that he's hearing from agents that the Bucks are operating like they're going to have at least 3 first-round picks coming up on Tuesday night when we do our Pro Hoops draft show with Brandon Snide and Brian Butch. At least 3 first-round picks.
And that's something that hasn't only come from him, but multiple people have started talking about how the Bucks have started working in that way, and the way that they're working out some of these players that are in higher spots than they are. I think that says that too, that they're just there's a lot of other things that are happening that don't lead towards the Bucks just having 10.
Also put out there, we have not really talked about this, but there is speculation again, and we kind of talked about it, about Utah potentially moving back. There's speculation out there about the Bulls potentially moving out. There's potential out there about the Clippers potentially moving back. So this draft class, which has been heralded forever, which has seen all these teams, according to the NBA, try to tank, and that's why they've changed the lottery rules, to try to get to the top of this draft class. Now we're here a few days away, and there's rumblings that 3 of the 5 teams in the top are talking about potentially getting out of there and moving back. What is going on? Like, what happened? All this talk and everybody fighting to be bad and try and get, a top 3, top 4 pick in the lottery. And now we sit a few days out, and now 2 potentially is willing to move out. 4 is potentially willing to move out. 5 is potentially willing to move out. What? I can't believe it. I'm absolutely shocked by that fact that is happening. And that is why, again, if they do a deal, you're going to have a third team involved in all of that. But if this comes and goes, do you know who loses leverage quickly? The Miami Heat. Because right now they got 13. That's intriguing. There's no guarantee what the rest of these picks look like when the Bucks get them. That deal does not look anywhere near as good, if anybody thinks it's good, because the Bucks clearly don't. That deal no longer looks nearly as good.
No. And I think you need to have that. I think if there's a lot of other teams, maybe that's what the Bucks are waiting for here, is that they think other teams are going to start building packages as we near the draft here a little deeper.
I really don't. And again, I have no inside information. I'm just telling you, I think they are of the understanding that this is going to have to be a 3 or 4 team deal in order for them to get what they feel they deserve. And to build a 3 or 4 team deal takes time. It just does. You got to go through the intricacies, getting all 4 general managers on the board, then getting all 4 ownership groups to sign off on the deal from all 4 teams, and then making sure the finances work amongst everything else. Then looking at draft capital that's being moved around to make sure all of that is legal. And then looking at your own draft capital going, okay, well, if we do this deal, what do we have left for draft capital for the next, 3 to 5 years? So it takes time in order to make it work. Mike in Pewaukee, you're next on Wisconsin Sports Daily. What's up, Mike?
Hey, Sparky. Hey, I pretty much agree with just about everything you just said. I think it is going to take a 3 or 4 team deal to get what the Bucks feel they deserve. And I think, unfortunately, the Bucks' view of this and what they believe they should get versus what they do get, it's too lofty at this point, because if they wanted all this, they should have done this a year or 2 ago, more than likely, because now he's been injured for a year or 2 more, in the playoffs and in the regular season, and teams are going to be gun shy. Somebody will take a chance, but I just don't think the Bucks are ever going to get what they feel they deserve. And I just think that, because they brought us he brought us a championship. Well, but that was in the past. Everybody can see that the guy is injury prone lately.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, Mike. And I also agree that I think no matter what the deal is, most Bucks fans are going to say that deal sucks. It doesn't matter what he gets. It's not going to be good
agree.
enough for most Bucks fans. Mike, thanks for the call. I got to roll up against the break here. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky with you. Welcome in, Wisconsin Sports Daily. Steve Sparky, Fiver with you. Charlie Houston, other side of the glass. Don't forget, Potawatomi Sportsbook, baby. 2,000 square foot center screen, 2 levels, shuttles to and from each and every Brewers home game. $5 purchase inside the sportsbook or on a wager. Tell them you are taking the shuttle to give you a bracelet and you are ready to rock and roll. Their parking garage is free. You don't have to pay $20, $25 to park there like you do at American Family Field. It's covered if we're supposed to have bad weather here in southeastern Wisconsin later tonight. Your car will be covered in case there's hail or something else like that. Another good benefit to parking at the parking garage. And you're all set. For more information on all of that fun stuff, all you got to do is go to Potawatomi.com. Again, that's Potawatomi.com. Must be 21 to enter the Potawatomi Casino Hotel in Milwaukee. And, of course, remember, bet above the rest. All right, we only got, 90 seconds left or so. We got a bunch of Brent Sorsby stuff we never got to. There's some audio from Sorsby's agent we never got to play, so we'll get to that tomorrow. We got some analysis from Daniel Jeremiah on Sorsby as well. We never got to that. So there's lots of stuff that will carry over to tomorrow's show. However, tomorrow's show will be at Summerfest right there by the Hole in One, brought to you by X Golf. First person to get a hole in one will have will win $5,000, brought to you by X Golf and the Hole in One Challenge right down there on the lake. It's an island hole type deal out there on a barge. Come over, say hi. We'll be like kitty corner from it, white tent. We'll have some free t-shirts to hand out while supplies last too. I'll be out there starting at 2, and then Tim Allen and Tommy Wirtz will be out there with the Potawatomi Sportsbook post-game show somewhere in the area of 4 to 6 tomorrow afternoon. So if you always want to get a picture with Tim Allen or Tommy Wirtz, you get their autograph. That's your time to come out and hang out and do that. Looking forward to seeing everybody at Summerfest tomorrow starting at 2. Enjoy the rest of your night. The leadoff show with the aforementioned big old hunk of love, Tommy Wirtz, comes up from 5 until 6:30 and has been Wisconsin Sports Daily live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Have a good night, Wisconsin. Toodles.